Miss Jasmin Robertson, thank you for coming tonight.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, for those of you who don't know Jasmin, she is an amazing entrepreneur, and she got involved with a pretty crazy business. Actually, how did you get into business?
Okay. Well, yeah.
How old were you?
Well, I always refer to myself as the reluctant entrepreneur. It isn't what I wanted to do. So I ended up running a business called Rosa's Gourmet. We manufactured a range of gourmet mayonnaises, pestos, chutneys, chili sauces, dips. And it's called Rosa's Gourmet because it's named after my mum, Rosa. She started it as a hobby when I was about 4 years old from our property at the Gap, just selling them at the end of our driveway under a beach umbrella to like mostly the bikies that were going up Mount Nebo. And she was like this 6 foot tall blonde Dutch lady, Amazon woman.
Amazing.
So I'm not really sure they were stopping for the mayonnaise, but she started, selling these sauces. She used, the story goes, she used, fresh free-range eggs from our chooks and honey from the bees, herbs from the garden, and she made a little range. And, over the years expanded to selling at the local markets. Then my dad, who was a bookie on the Gold Coast at the time, wasn't like the ideal career choice for a young family, I think. He says, they were living the high life on the Gold Coast, and then I think a few legal loopholes got changed and they had to scoot up to live with my grandma up at on the way up to Mount Nebo. So we ended up there, and Mum just started as a hobby, and then it was like Dad ended up selling them at the markets, and I was like taking the tops off the chilies in my spare time when I got home, or I think even before I was at school, but even then, like my school years, I was labeling, putting the labels on my legs and pretending to wax them. And
as every prepubescent teen does.
Yeah, teenager or whatever, while watching Home and Away, I was waxing my legs with sauce labels. And then I convinced my parents to pay me for like on a per rack basis, like for labeling. So I was just like literally every night getting home, and it was just dining table covered in racks and racks of sauces. So I eventually
How many sauces were you guys making back then? Like start on the front on the driveway, and then what was that period of time?
Local markets, local shops. Maybe we were selling like 1,000 bottles a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
From home, in the downstairs kitchen, and it was just Mum, Dad, and me through slave labour. So I always say family business is just the Western way of politely saying legal slave labour. It's like it's a family business. It's okay.
That is a fair call. Oh my God. So, and
yeah, where to from there? So,
So
I was taking the tops off the chilies, and I was picking the basil, and I was labeling the sauces, and Mum and Dad were just growing the business pretty organically. They sort of fell into it, and it was a real lifestyle business for them. They didn't want staff, and Mum was just such a genius creator. Like she came up from the 10 years since she started, she had like 40 varieties of sauces. So we were doing like everything from satay sauce to pestos, and then she started doing hummus. And I mean, we were making aioli in the early 90s. And like even a few years ago, I was still explaining to people like what aioli is and how to use it.
What is aioli?
Yeah.
Garlic and mayonnaise.
Garlic mayonnaise, yeah. Which that's literally what it means in Italian. But she came from a Dutch family, so she had, I guess, that like European influence. We were making hollandaise and béarnaise and Caesar, and so it just kind of grew. And she passed away when I was 14, so it was pretty...
That's tough.
Yeah, pretty tough, pretty unexpected. And
how did that affect you? Like, because you obviously were a really tight family. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's never easy. I think I probably just disassociated a lot. Dad definitely didn't handle it well. He next minute we had this lady come in and like move in and live with us because he was just like one of those men that he's in his mid 80s now, so he'd like grown up through boarding school and then got married immediately, and had a wife and then partners, and then met my mum kind of like later in his life. She was 20 years younger than him. Wow. So he'd never been on his own. So mum passed away and he was just like, well, you're the woman of the house now. You need to cook and clean and do all this stuff. And I was like, dude, I'm 14 and my mum just died. Like,
Yeah. Check yourself,
check
Dad.
yourself. You're like, no, bad parenting,
Whoa.
bad dad, bad. So then he was like, who else do I know? So he, of course, as you do, calls up like his last girlfriend from like before mum, which is, was like, I don't know, at this point, like 20 years ago or something. So, who apparently was still just hanging about and keen. Dad has that effect on people. So he was like, come live with me. So she moved in and we just kind of then found a way to keep the business going, outsourced the production and kept labeling the sauces and selling them to local shops. And I was still taking the tops off the chilies and working at markets on the weekends and doing the whole deal. So, yeah, we just kind of
And in the middle of this,
going.
you're doing school, you're doing all the other regular stuff a teenager did.
Yep. Like heavily invested in competitive laser force and Age of
Really?
Empires.
That's right. I forgot you're a gamer.
Yes. I mean, it's only like fresh in my mind now. So many people don't really know me from that time. A lot of my closest friends I met sort of like in my final year or two of high school, or like, into my 20s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a spoiler alert, been retired for the last couple of years. And I was like, what can I do with my time? That's
Gaming.
Right. I'm a hardcore gamer nerd.
Oh, my God. So good.
Yeah, so everyone's having this revelation of like, oh, my gosh, you play computer games? I'm like, yeah, man.
I'll fuck you up. Whatever game.
Yes, headshot. Counter-Strike, Unreal Tournament.
Oh, my
AOE. Food, please. And, any people who used to play in their teenage years would get it.
I remember. Counter-Strike was amazing, and we used to sit there in class at my school. We all had laptops. And so from grade 4 to grade 12, I remember we used to sit in class and just like stealth it up, pretend we're working. We're just playing Counter-Strike at the back. Full into class tournaments, like just fucking each other up, headshots online, running around in like
Just
the
knifing each other.
like the Aztec ones, and like someone's camping, you like throw a book at them. It was so funny.
It was good. And then I was playing Laser Force like competitively too. So we
Really?
Like
Where did you play that?
At the Gabba. Just around the
That
corner.
one down there?
Yeah, Laser Force.
That was the best one. I remember going to
the
some
one.
school parties. I didn't know it was competitive sport as well.
Well, so if you were like high scoring, then you would be like, I think the top 10 were like classified as like the Laser Force League. So you had to be, and then you would like, compete against each other and play like specialized games, fugitive, capture the flag. And
Did you ever get into like skirmish, like paintball?
No, I didn't. I don't know how that never really like just translated for me. And I think by the time people were getting into it, probably I'm a weak nerd. I need to be indoors and seated as much as possible. So yeah, no, I never got into paintball, and I think it got quite cool as I was like kind of coming out of that phase.
Okay.
So, laser tag.
So
that was my hobby. Well, between all the business and the growing up, school, dead mum, all that stuff.
when did you actually start thinking about like I'm gonna take over the family business, or did you like this is
my whole childhood? Everyone was like, "Oh, so you're gonna take over the business when you grow up?" And I was like, "No, that's so uncool." And everyone.
Really?
Yeah, it was. And I mean,
Did you think of yourself as a business person back then and back a business kid?
No, I always wanted to do acting. Always wanted to do drama. Always loved performing. I just liked not being myself. Honestly, I really liked just that escapism of like pretending to be somebody else, and I'd get really like immersed in it, and I just felt really free when I was acting. So, and I did graphic design too. So I sort of thought of myself as more of a creative than a business person. And and I was like, sauces is so not cool. Like even like people I dated, my friends like, ugh, you're working at the sauce business. Or everyone would call it the jam company. Like, how's the jam business going? I was like, literally.
Why?
We do
Did you make
all
jams?
of the we do all of the condiments but jam. Like
Chili
literally
jam?
jam's the one thing we don't do. We don't do jam.
Why the fuck do they call it a jam company?
I don't know, because it just was like people would probably use it to put you down. a little bit.
Ah.
Or, you know, just like not really care.
It's like, like people who've gone up to me and like, oh, have you still got that little beard oil company? I'm like, yeah, we do. Yeah, we sell to 51 countries around the world and have distributors all over Australia and Europe.
I had that as like a kid.
Though.
And then even when I took it over later, people were like, oh, okay, so you just do that part-time from home or something, do you? And I was like, well, no, I started out that way, but now I have like, you know, staff all over the country and we sell to hundreds of shops. And
when you were going through all that transition, when did it turn from like a little small business to something real? Like well, like just the whirlwind version is I wanted to do acting and I was like, Dad, I'm finishing school, I'm going to be an actor. And I want to like move to France, and I don't know why I thought I could move to France and be an actor. I probably wouldn't need to learn French, but I was just like, yeah, that's my plan. And he was like, well, you won't make any money being an actor and you need to have a ticket. My dad told me I had to have a ticket. I did pharmacy. You know, you need to do something so you have a fallback. Like if you want to do acting, that's fine, but you need to get a ticket. And being an only child, it was sort of like, oh, Dad's never said no before. Do I rebel or do I like, what am I supposed to do here? How do I respond? So I was like, oh, okay, I'll do my ticket thing. And business degree just seemed the most like, if I'm doing something to get a job, a degree in business seems like the most, you know, secure, boring, can get a job out of it course to study. And I was never into science or anything. So I did my business degree. Where at?
QT.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alumni.
Yes, love it. And then
and majoring in what?
Management and international business.
Cool.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know what I want to do. HR seems like, what if I finish and I have a degree in HR and I don't want to do HR or PR or
subject in the world.
Yes.
So don't believe HR.
So management and international business. And then I was dating a guy and he was like,
I'll stop you there for a sec. Wait.
Yeah.
So with your degree, because this is one thing that I always get asked about.
Yeah.
Did it help you in the real world? And if there's any instances that you did, like whether it be networking or whatever, like did you find it valuable for the 4 years and the 30 grand worth of debt?
Well, no. I didn't. I paid up front. So debt free.
Yep.
Because I think like earnings to expenditure, I was the wealthiest I've ever been to date in my life while I was at uni. It was the dream. Very limited outgoings, massive cash flow. But no, I mean, look, honestly, even in my hiring, I still really respect the process of uni. And I think, you know, it's not about the content, it's about the process. And, you know, you learn a lot in terms of like discipline, time management, just even like basic communication skills, reading and writing and presenting. And so I really do look favorably on somebody that's got a degree when I'm hiring, just because it's sort of like a tick. You can commit to doing something and achieve it. I mean, you know, once they've had like, you know, years and years of career experience, I suppose it's less relevant. But for someone in their 20s, if they've got a degree behind them, it really sort of like sets them up for just the life skills that they need for work, I think. Yeah. So
I agree. This wine is delicious, by the way. Do you want some more? Yes, you finish your glass. When I first went to uni, because I did college originally in the US, and I did half it there, and I came back and I was like, I'll do a bit of work first, and then I changed from international business to business management, specializing in sales. So I think I'm the only person to ever graduate from QT with that combo.
After you finished, they're like, that was a bad idea.
No, I actually, so halfway through, the first year I partied and did nothing. Like I almost failed. I was on probation. It was the same as when I was in America because I just enjoyed networking. I went to university to network. I love people, love socializing, and I've met some of my best friends in business and in life after a year and a half when I realized was hanging out with my normal friend, like my old school friends, and I wasn't mingling into the crowd like I was in the US because it was comfort zone. I'm back home with all my friends. And when I put myself out there and I joined all the clubs, like the management club and just networked, and I got to hang out with people. They were almost like nerds because I was a sporting jock dickhead. And so when I was hanging out with these guys, they were actually the most fucking amazing people because they were so good and so passionate about what they were doing and way better academically That was perfect
That's a
time, wasn't
word.
it?
The irony.
At academics than I was, but they were just really cool. I learned a ton off them, and they turned into some of my best friends. But in business, in that degree, I did learn some key stuff from some of my subjects, especially business law. That was one of the ones I learned a lot on. And the entrepreneurship subject was the biggest joke I've ever done in my life. But
They still teach entrepreneurship there, which,
I know,
yeah,
I just don't
questionable.
get.
Why, you'd go to uni to learn about entrepreneurship. But,
Well, it was the theory of entrepreneurship, learning from a professor who had a PhD in entrepreneurship but had not started a business. I thought that was quite interesting. But anyway, I just wanted to find out if you actually got value out of uni, because I did get a bit of value
Well,
out of it.
I did it because I had to get this ticket thing from Dad, and I finished with
You're forced
academic
to.
honours.
Oh my god!
And I was dating a guy at the time, and he was like a law student. I met him and I started dating him because he was doing like accounting and law double degree, and I was like, oh, I need someone to tutor me in accounting. And then I was just like, oh, well, he'll probably do it for free. We're dating, so kind of one thing led to another. I got my accounting tuition.
Yep.
You know, it's a lot of effort to go to get a 5.
Modern day
I tell you
romance.
what.
I forgot
I
what we're
don't think
talking
he'll be
about.
listening to this. But anyway,
No.
so then
We definitely will. We'll be getting
so he
comments
was
later.
like, you need to apply for grad jobs. And I was like, oh, I don't want
In what?
a grad job. Maybe I'll keep studying. I'm good at this. And like, I don't even know in what? What am I going to get a grad job
And
in?
he was still running the business?
Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, my boyfriend was like, oh, you should apply for PricewaterhouseCoopers, really prestigious. And, you know,
Standard.
that'll
That's
suit
his
you
girl.
like it's a good grad. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, why? Don't they like make washing machines? Why would I want to work there? Anyway, turns
amazing.
out they're like the biggest accounting firm in the world.
Yes.
And I, literally only dated him so I could get through accounting, and barely did. And then ended up landing this job at PricewaterhouseCoopers.
What? I didn't know
As
this.
Yes. I started there as a grad.
Wow.
That was 2006.
How was that?
Yeah.
Was there a crazy interview process to get into
It was
there? or-
crazy. It was a crazy process. Yeah, they called it Conquest, and it was a little bit like Lord of the Flies, you know. You
Jesus
just don't know.
Christ. I know it because
It
it's super competitive. Like we'll
Yeah.
probably have heaps of listeners who like literally are applying for this out of uni.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, this was obviously a while ago now. I feel old even talking about back in 2006. But yeah, I think, there's like over 1,000 people that applied even just for Brisbane, and they hired like 40 people. And you have to do group interviews, solo interviews, group presentation, a written exam, and numeracy test, which I'm pretty sure I would have failed. But yeah, somehow I got given the job, and started and thought it was like, great, I'm just going to be wearing suits and heels, and I'll second over to Hong Kong, and this is going to be badass. I'll be a partner one day. And literally like 2 months later, I was like, I hate this. I want to kill myself. Get me
So
out.
what was your first 2 months of shit kicking? What did you have to do?
I can barely even remember. And it was just, it was shit kicker work. And I think, like I said, I was killing it when I was at uni, because I was actually just like enjoying it, doing well. And I worked as a research assistant in the management faculty. So I was like helping write the course. I was literally writing the course material for a course that I was doing like next semester. Yeah, I think I got like 99% in when I did it, because it was just, I had my own office. I could work my own hours. So like half the time I was in there just like printing my uni
How good.
stuff and doing my assignments. And then on the weekends, I'm working at markets, and just like pretty much with Dad, it was like, whatever you sell, just keep the cash. Like I didn't even have to cover the cost of the product. I just would like make $1,000 in cash in a day. And then I'm like working it at the uni in my own office at like, I'm
Just
like
how old were you?
18.
18. Oh my
And
god.
and I would just set my own hours, and I had like PhD students that I was like telling what to do on there. And I was getting paid like, $28 an hour, which when you're 18 is
Undergrad.
a pretty good deal.
This is why I always laugh, because like I remember we ran an executive MBA program. I have an undergrad, and I'm literally judging and interrogating the shit out of the best executive MBA grad students
Yeah.
and tearing them apart. And it feels weird.
Yeah. Well, it's the university system's a bit odd, but it is very well paid. So that was, it was a good time. Every regular holidays while I was at uni and just living the dream. But yeah, PwC, it was, I guess because I'd come from I was at that point realizing I was fairly competent and intelligent, and I, hated school and didn't do very well. So it was like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm kind of smart. This is cool. And then they had me doing this bullshit work, and I worked out.
What did you actually have to do? Because no one ever knows. People are like, oh yeah, got into PwC or KPMG and whatever, and they never tell you what they actually do because it's like this little secret.
Well, yeah, I suppose I was working in the advisory department in a performance improvement section, so it was a little bit vague, sort of like, consulting to businesses to improve them. And I remember one of our big jobs was the separation between Queensland Rail was selling off their freight division, and I think I remember one whole week I had to spend mapping, doing this matrix, a competitor analysis between the freight division of Queensland Rail and all the other freight forwarders and the routes that so they actually literally had me
just down a bit.
Down.
Yep. That way you can talk into it.
Yeah, they had me plotting all the train and depot routes on a map on a PowerPoint.
You were planning all this?
No, plotting.
Plotting.
Just literally designer type work, putting points on a map for a visual.
Okay.
And then another thing was a competitor analysis, and I was just some of the elements that I had a big problem with it, because I was just sort of saying, you're asking me to compare apples with oranges. I can't say that these two freighting companies, I can only get the data that's available online, and this one's got, this data of this time period, and then we're sort of extrapolating that out to compare it against this data from another company for a different period or for a different metric.
Yep.
So I was just knowing that they were charging me out at about $250 an hour, and I was just doing bullshit putting little plots on a map and comparing data that was not even, because I'd been a researcher, right? So I was this is not quality data. This is deeply flawed. You cannot use this information.
Did you say something?
Of course.
Yeah. Of course you did.
Of course I did. I am opinionated. I didn't realize that, being an only child and growing up in a business just endows you with this sense of self-assurance and
curiosity and be able to question things. It's one of the most important things.
Yeah. So I think that's why I hated it so much, because I got in there and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is not a good use of my time, and this is not quality data, and this is not a good use of the client's money to spend it on me doing this. And they did not like that.
What happened?
I can tell you that. Well, it was just this attitude of
shut the fuck up.
Shut up and do it anyway. And it was pretty toxic as well. Just the whole you talk about the politics of these places. It was very heavily political.
Really?
And everybody's sort of jockeying for positions, and nobody wants to sort of say that something's not a good idea or make waves. Everyone just do as you're told. And even, I was working 6 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. And half the time I was literally just cutting laps around the whole office floor being does anyone have anything I can do?
Oh my God.
Can you give me some work? Because they'd give me a job and then I'd do it and then be like, cool, what else can I do? What's next?
Yeah.
And it was just oh, well.
Fuck, this girl is annoying.
Yeah,
they
keeps
hated doing all her work.
Yeah. And I think they were
bad.
can you literally someone pulled me aside and they're you can't just go around saying you have no work. And I was but
I don't.
They don't I had to leave from a optional training event, extracurricular thing they had on one night at 6 o'clock because I had a mixed netball game to go to, and they're all about flexibility and work-life balance. And I was cool, I have to go to this netball thing at 6 o'clock. And then the next day I got bailed up for career limiting move and, really watch yourself. And literally I spent the whole day asking people for work because I have nothing to do, but I still had to stay back. And then when I did leave and it was a prearranged commitment, I get in trouble for it. So it's just that sort of head fuck kind of stuff where it was you're not allowed to tell people that you're not busy, but also you have to stay back till 6 or 7 o'clock every night.
Yep. I had friends who were in there and they literally said they were up to 9 o'clock at night at their computers on Facebook. But it was like whoever went home first lost. Like it was like you need to be there, even if it wasn't productive.
Even on like at least do one weekend day or come in on the public holiday.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is why the economy is fucked. It's not productive work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that sort of stuff still happens now, but this
is only like 2 years ago that I heard this.
I was like, I can't. I honestly cried probably in the toilets like at some point every day because people were it was toxic. A lot of the other chicks, they were very nasty. The partner seemed to take a special liking to me in that way where nowadays
Hashtag me too.
Hashtag me too. It's all about that, yes.
Wow. How did you deal with that? Like, because you're a fucking smart woman. You were ambitious and getting stuff done. People would have been pissed off because you're moving and shaking and just starting into that career. When other people have been there for 2 years, like, how did you deal with that? And
especially when the partner of the department's like taking me out, just me, for like morning coffee, and I'm 20 and I've never worked in a workplace. So I'm like, this feels weird, but I don't actually know like if this is normal or not. And then he'll take me to a morning tea and be like, just to be like asking me about my family situation and my mum and how she died and what happened and, how I get on and what's happening with the business. And I'm just like, I don't really feel comfortable talking about this with my boss in the middle of a work day. And then
I think you could talk about it, but it doesn't sound like it's the right context. How long have you been with the business for?
Oh, like a couple of months, few months, like not long.
And did you speak with him outside of that?
No.
Yeah, okay, that's weird.
Was like, he was just like, special degree of interest in me specifically. And I know one other woman there really had a bit of a liking for him. And I mean, he was probably like 60 and I was 20, so I didn't see it like that, but I think, in hindsight it was very obvious.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that made me very uncomfortable. And then the other women there were very mean to me. And
what did you do?
The work was menial, and I worked out that on my like 35K salary with the hours they had me doing,
what?
I was earning the equivalent.
Isn't that fucking illegal?
I worked back. I was earning $10 an hour. I was earning more at Video Easy when I was like 17. I was like, fuck this, I'm going to quit and go back. So I quit. And my dad was like, what are you doing? Can you just stay there for 2 years to get it on your CV? And I was like, literally, I can't. Like another day and I will just drive my car off the side of the road and kill myself. It's that bad. And I've been through quite a bit in my lifetime. And the fact that is what broke me is quite telling. Like I went on antidepressants and.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was honestly in a pretty dark place because it was just scrambled my brain trying to fit into that box every day, like fit into that mold.
Obviously, you lost your mum and everything on top of that as well. But did you like go to a psychologist in that regard, or what did you do for your mental health? Because most people just sit there and they like boil it up inside themselves and don't actually deal with it, or they think it's like their burden. They don't want to spread that load. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was definitely the latter.
Yeah.
Well, I think also because my dad is probably the most narcissistic person you'll ever meet. If you have the pleasure of meeting him, he's a very charming, lovely man. But wow,
I'll definitely have to meet him.
Even after Mum died, he was like, saying to me, "Well, you don't have that much to be upset about because you've got the rest of your life in front of you. How do you think I feel? My life is over now." And I was like, "Okay, I'm 15. Cool."
Thanks for gaslighting me, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. Noted. Yeah, so I was just used to stuff like that, and at no point was anyone like, you should see a psychologist, or are you okay? So it was just, it never really came up, and I just was like, if I don't talk about it, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And so then why would I talk about it?
Yeah.
So not talking about it is the way to go. So no, I hadn't. And so then sort of, I guess, being in that workplace where I was like positioned into, someone in a figure of authority, trying to get me to open up about all that sort of stuff to him. It was very uncomfortable. And then quitting, Dad was, just disappointed in me.
Yeah.
For not sticking it out. And I was like, look, honestly, I'll work
I fucking did uni, Dad. What are you talking about?
I did. I got my ticket. I'll work at a news agency. I literally don't even care what I do right now. I'll do anything. And I'd literally be getting paid the equivalent of what I was getting paid at PwC anyway. Like, you could suck up that 35K to work a 60-hour week if you knew that in like 10 years you're going to be a partner.
Yes.
On
which
$1
is
million
no
a year.
guarantee at all.
No, but if that was your, and one of the girls I started with, like literally that is what her career path, and that's what she did. And it's like, great,
awesome.
You really ate shit to get there. You deserve it. You're,
Do you know what the funny thing is though? Even the career paths that we chose, we eat shit for that first 10 years.
You do.
It's just in a totally different way. So, yeah.
I'd rather eat my own shit than someone else's shit.
I'm totally
I
on board.
feel like that is
agree.
the moral of the story.
I agree.
If you're fucking gonna have to eat shit, you
Right.
eat your own shit. You don't eat someone else's shit. That is gross.
That is
it's like eating your own
great.
boogers. I have no problem eating my own boogers. I'm not eating your boogers.
Oh my god! But that really does make sense. I think people have. It depends on that risk as well, because if you're going to a corporate career, you are going to get paid your wage. If you're going to get paid your holidays, you're safe and secure. You think you're safe and secure, but you can get fired tomorrow, by the way. And then in entrepreneurship or small, medium enterprise, it is a massive risk, a lot of stress. But for me, it's been the journey that comes along with it. I feel like that for me personally, when I was in a job, I always knew I was going to start a business. I always knew that I was going to build something special. And so when I was going to a job, I was learning as much as I could from all the other people until they couldn't learn anything more. And then I'm like, next. And I'd go to a job literally that I'd learn a skill in. Completely different industry, but I wanted to learn that industry or pull something awesome out of that industry. The bearded chap, I literally pulled the alcohol industry and moved it across to cosmetics. And that we built everything on the alcohol industry. So that is crazy.
Yeah, and that was really my last real only job. I was 20.
One job in your
one
life.
corporate job. Well, I went to JB Hi-Fi when I was at uni. Hardly counts as like a professional.
Just for the discount on the games.
I was big onto the CDs at the time. But yeah, it was then that I said to Dad, I'll literally do anything. I don't care. And he was like, oh, well, by the way, I'm going to sell the sauce business. So,
Wow.
maybe you should take that over. And I was like, I don't know anything about food. That was Mum's thing.
But you
It's
worked
not
in it
my
your whole
thing.
life.
And I was still
It's
doing
the most
the odd
delicious
markets
wine.
and things. But I was just like, you know what? It's just, I don't, I remember I was even when I was 20, I literally distinctly remember the day that Dad brought home some Yatla pies and was like, let's reheat these pies. And I was like, cool. And I had to ring my boyfriend to be like, can you just reheat pies in a microwave, or is this an oven thing? And if it is an oven thing, like, what do these little pictures mean? And which one is the one that I need to put it on
We didn't have
to
phones.
heat up a pie?
Do you have phones then?
Yeah, not like you could
Not
take a photo with it,
smartphones.
not a smartphone.
Yeah.
No, but I had to ring and be like, how do I use an oven?
Isn't it?
I was 20.
Isn't it crazy?
21
We're
even. I
struggling
think I
to
was like-
remember if we had
Yeah.
phones that we could not use.
No, you couldn't. You
internet
couldn't
at
just take a photo. You just couldn't like Google it and be like, how do you use an oven? I called my boyfriend. I'm like, what? And I'm reading out like what the little symbols are. So I was 20 and I hadn't used an oven yet. I literally grew up eating like lean cuisine and KFC, man.
Oh my god.
I know. And then Dad's like, take over this sauce business. I'm like, I don't even know how to make mayonnaise. I don't even know. Like, this is not my thing. And by this point, I was like, oh, also, by the way, I was always going to do acting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. So I went and enrolled in acting school.
Cool.
So I started acting, and Dad was like, oh, well, if you're not going to take over the sauce business, then I'll sell it. I'm like, sell what? We don't have a website. We don't have IP. Everything's cash. He doesn't
So
even he hand invoices everything. We don't even have copies of the recipes. The person that had been making the products.
So your
since
mum never
died.
wrote down the recipes? She doesn't have like
She
Rose's
had-
original.
Look, she had some notes, and you know, she had someone helping her in the kitchen who sort of like learnt how to do stuff. And then when she died, Dad was like, oh, can you keep making them? And he was like, sure. But I live on the Gold Coast, so I'm just going to like move it all down there. So he took our equipment and all her notes and started making it down there. And Dad, you know, in his wisdom was like, this is a great solution. And then like over the years, it was like, oh, we just gave him everything. We have no contract and we have no idea how to make the products. And this guy's now just increasingly putting the prices up for us buying them. And he thinks, so
you're almost a distributor. And he was actually fully manufacturing it.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes. So then Dad's like, I'm going to sell the business. I'm like, sell what? We don't even have the recipes. He has everything. We literally have nothing. And, you know, I know for a fact that he's not going to just hand it back. He thinks it's his now. This is the problem that we have. So
that is huge.
So I was like,
what happened next?
I was like, I don't want to do this.
Call those bikies that were buying from Mum back in the day.
So I hired a lawyer and, you know, because we didn't have an agreement, there wasn't really anything enforceable. But I just sort of like strategically started writing sort of like letters of demand saying like, we don't want to be paying this much for the products and we want you to be using better quality ingredients and we want you to get these sort of safety certificates and just trying to make it more legit and get as much control over the production as we could. But
so this was advice from the lawyer to do that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we had
what did
sort
he
of
say?
Like a backstory.
Or she say?
The lawyer?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're fucked.
Yeah. Do what you can. But, you know, the reality was we just had to, I mean, in the background, I took the products to a contract manufacturer and was like, can you reverse engineer these? Because I just sort of like from selling them at markets and growing up with it, I just knew what they should taste like. And at this point, honestly, it was actually really horrible. And this is why I didn't want to go into the business because one, like painful memories from Mum, but two, you know, we'd pick up the boxes and there'd be like cockroaches in the boxes. I mean, the jars are sealed, but it's still not great.
Yeah. And,
you know, we'd be getting calls from customers. We're still only selling about 1,000 products a week, but we'd get customers calling us with like glass in their jar, like a bit of rag, piece of metal, a spoon in their tub. And, you know, Dad and I would literally have to go around to these people's houses and take them products.
It sounded like the dude was getting shit-faced and just like making
he
sauces.
He just did not give a fuck. He had us over a barrel and Dad's like, I'll just sell the business. I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. Just give it to me. Give it to me, Daddy. I'll just take care of it. I'll do it for a couple of years. I'll re-engineer the recipes, set up a kitchen, get it all legit, you know, because we'd never declared making any money out of the business or cash money. I'll get it legit and then I'll sell it, you know, and that way we can stay in this house. You don't have to sell the house and, you know, because he'd never had a job, no super, no money in the bank. It was just,
Wow.
So I was like, all right.
How old were you then?
22.
Holy shit. Sounds like you're 40 already.
I know. Yeah, so then that was...
What did you... so at that point in time, what did you think? Do you think that from everything you went through, that's normal for you? Like to be doing all that stuff, have achieved all that stuff in that short amount of time? Or were you like, I'm fucking weird?
No, I think I only realised I was weird about 3 or 4 years ago. I really did not know. And I think being an only child as well, you're just completely in your own little world. And like just as another aside, the woman that Dad had like come move into the house was like total alcoholic, was like the fucking Cinderella stepmother. She just hated me and she was like, I'm not cooking for you. I'm not washing your clothes. So I just would have like to heat my own dinners up in the microwave and get my own takeaway for years. And like when I tried to tell Dad like, hey, she's actually really mean to me, Dad's like, well, what else can I do? What do you want me to do? And I'm like, oh, all right, don't worry about it then. Yeah. So
do you know what the funny thing is?
So then she lived in the granny flat on the property and in the house, like alternating, for like 5 years or whatever. And then when I started to like, you know, when I was at PwC and all like left PwC and was like helping out. Started realizing, like looking at the bank account, there's all this money missing, and Dad like cash everywhere. There was never any cash around, and so I started looking into it and realized that she'd just been like pilfering all this cash. So as well as we're getting screwed over by the manufacturer, like this lady Judy was just like nicking it all. Like, she was doing she was the bookkeeper. She was doing all the books and everything. So, and of course Dad, just in his own little world, had no idea. So called her on it, and Dad had started seeing a woman down on the Gold Coast because of course he did. Of course he's got a girlfriend on the Gold Coast. So he's down on the Gold Coast seeing his girlfriend. And I'm down in Melbourne for Big Day Out because Rage Against the Machine were playing.
Oh my God, did you get to see them?
Front fucking row. I camped. Like, as in, like, from like they were on at like 9 o'clock at night, from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was just front barrier holding on for dear life, like waiting. I had to fucking sit through Bjork for them. Like nothing against Bjork, but was it worth it? Look, I was like part of that group that like Bjork was doing it, like and everyone's like rage, rage.
Oh my God! So were they amazing live?
The best thing ever. It was so worth it. Like I didn't pee for 6 hours. It was
just dehydrating in the sun on the barrier.
Just crisping up.
Do you want a drink? No.
Not leaving.
Mother
and
of
then
God.
anyway, get back from my weekend in Melbourne, and Dad gets back from his weekend seeing his girlfriend because, of course, you know, and just like everything's gone. She's just like, I like busted her for stealing shit, and then she just like cleaned out the house. Like literally, even 6 months later, I'm like, where are the egg cups? Oh, Gigi probably took them. Sweet.
Holy
like,
shit.
It was literally like 2 weeks later. I did the washing and then I looked up to put it in the dryer and I'm like, oh, the dryer's gone too. Okay.
So she just cleaned your house out.
She just took shit and left. And then, like 6 months later, she sued us for de facto.
What?
I know. She wanted half the house and half the business. And I was like,
that is a bad lady.
Father, how many times do I have to clean up your messes? This is ridiculous. So I emptied the bank account and
Dad owns nothing.
We took a mortgage out of my 10K that I'd saved up from PwC, gone into this, plus the 60K we had in the bank account. Plus we took a mortgage out over the house. I think we had a little one and we extended it. And it was Dad's idea. It was pretty genius. He withdrew 100 grand.
Yeah.
So that added up to 100 grand. He got it out in $5 and $10 notes from the bank.
Yep.
And went round to wherever she was staying, like tipped it all out on the table and was like, sign this and we settle now and all this money can be yours. Like just emptied this sack of cash, 100 grand in $5 and $10 notes onto the counter.
Yeah.
Because she's like, she wanted half the business, half the house. That's like $500,000.
Yeah.
At least,
It would have been better if you're an American with $1 notes. And
I know.
Here's 100 grand, but it's only 10.
It's like in coins. So he was like, sign this and we're good. And thank fuck she signed it. So it cost us 100 grand. And that was like all of the money either of us had in the world. So, and then I'm like, oh, and also, like, not only do we now have no money, we also have no business because this other, this guy that's been making them totally screwing us over. We're not making any money on the products and they're going downhill and we're getting all these customer complaints. I'm going to get sued at some point for that. So I'll just take care of that too while we're at it. It was just, it was ridiculous.
That is intense.
And then Dad is literally like, if you hadn't have tried to like, take Judy's job in the business, she never would have tried to sue us like this. And I'm
like, Dad, she would have stolen it anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, A, she was stealing anyway, and B, pretty sure she was in love with you this whole time and you're like dating someone on the Gold Coast. I think it's pretty fucking obvious, but like, sure, it's my fault she stole everything and I'll pay for it and clean up the mess. No worries.
Oh my God.
Daddy. Yes.
So
yeah, and this is like I'm 21 right now.
You're 22, were you? 22?
21 when Judy left and fucked up, and then I turned 22, and then I took over the business, and yeah.
So you're at ground zero with nothing. So this is standard of any entrepreneur startup, you fucking start with nothing.
Yeah, and I guess the thing I hate with my story that I don't usually get to tell is everything I've literally just said to you. And it's because people are like, oh, so you took over your family business.
Yeah.
It makes it sound like it was like I was just handed this life on a platter. And I'm like, yeah, it was a family business, but it wasn't a good deal. Like, trust me. So I re-engineered the recipes, like linoed the floor and the walls in the downstairs kitchen myself, like set it up and, you know, like back where Mum used to make them, and bought the secondhand equipment and hired a chef just because it was like a dude that was boning my friend that happened to be a chef and like, you know, also listened to Parkway Drive. So I was like, sweet,
Yeah,
man,
dude.
have a job. I mean, in hindsight, when he like later made the tomato chutney with salt instead of sugar, I was like, possibly could have been a little bit more thorough in the hiring
Screening
process. But it was literally like the best solution at the time. So I just started rolling, and I was like giving the current, you know, it was manufacturer, but it was like just a tiny little kitchen on the GC at Miami that we were picking up from every week, giving him notices of like, you know, just so I had a paper trail for when I did can him, it was all like ready to go.
Yep.
So yeah, sort of like built up our like stock, and his the chefs like making the products, making sure, like so many fuck ups, but got it right in the end.
Yeah. How long did it take from like when you were actually operational in your kitchen, in your kitchen, not your
my own
GC guy, and then to you going to market?
We were selling. There was an overlap.
Yeah. Okay.
And
were you mixing them together?
Yeah, I was mixing it. Yeah, I was mixing it. I needed to be sure I had supply.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
cool.
and then when I was ready, I finally said to Paul, who was making them, I'm like, look, you know, I've given you all these warnings. I've asked for price reductions. I've asked for better ingredients. I've asked for all this stuff. You've said no. So this, we want, you know, as of like this time next month, we won't be buying from you. But, you know, I kind of knew that like he would probably cut us off immediately. Like, you know, like you got to be prepared for it to be like a walk situation. So, and he just didn't, he thought I was bluffing. So didn't, and, you know, I was like a, you know, platinum blonde 22-year-old girl, and he's a 6'5", like 50-year-old man. Yeah. So
whatever love.
Yeah, pretty much. It was, zero respect. And then after a month, he was like, "Oh no, okay, I can rework the pricing." And I was like, "Nah, we're good.
Yeah,
it's cool, no worries." Because he realized I was serious. Then, of course, he decided to go to market with the products under his own brand.
So direct competitor straight away.
Immediately, and he went around to every single one of our customers. We didn't have like that many, but it was all like Southeast Queensland, Brisbane, Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And he basically said, Bill and Jasmin are just the middleman, like you said. You know, I'm the manufacturer. They're my recipes.
Yep.
I make them. Buy them from me. And he sold the same product, the same aioli, hollandaise, béarnaise, whatever, for $3.50 that we were selling for $5. So naturally, our customers were like,
but did they taste it? And you say, do you want spoons and like bloody rags and cockroaches in it?
Look, I mean, in terms of the retail stores, they weren't really aware of that side of it. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to like degrade your own product at that point too, because that's what they'd already been buying. So it's a bit of a fine line to walk there. And, you know, I guess I sort of was always of the opinion that, you know, you take the high road to some extent, because he went round to all our customers just ragging us out. And it was like, if anything, just makes him look
That's exactly right.
You know, pathetic, going around like bitching about us and how nasty we are and how we stole his recipes and how we're not the real makers of it, he is, and how we're doing this and we're doing that. And I just...
It's almost like free marketing though. People always forget when you talk shit about your competitors, people are like, there's a reason why they're talking shit about them.
Exactly.
What was that competitor called again? And so they go look it up, and if you hadn't mentioned them at all and you talked about how good your products were, they wouldn't even know about them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, I can't compete on that level. And what I have got to my advantage is I am like a good-looking young female with the story of like, this is my mom's business.
And a brain.
And he's like a huge angry man. Do you know what I mean? So I just had to go in there as the blonde sweet girl and be like, my mum died.
Yeah.
She made these.
It was a good story.
Buy them from me instead. He's saying these things, but it's not true.
Yeah.
Because if I tried to be a bitch, it's like that's literally no advantage there. And, oh, God, I will tell you this because it's just funny. I remember one day, our biggest customer on the Gold Coast, I went in there one day and I knew that he'd approached them, and he was based on the Gold Coast, so he had a bit more of like a home advantage. So I walked in there and I saw, like in a huge row on their top shelf where our products were, his products, labelled, done, everything.
What did he
in
call?
our spot.
Oh, no, actually, don't even mention that.
No, I'm not going to. Yeah. No.
Tell me off it.
Yeah. So I walked in and I saw all his products there, and the deli chick came over to me because she obviously knew, and she was a bitch. So I was like, oh, God, okay, I'm going to have this conversation.
Here we go.
Yeah. And I fainted. I literally went into fucking shock.
What?
By like losing our biggest customer on the Gold Coast, walking in there and seeing his shit. I started talking to her, and I just like, that's the one and only time I've fainted in my life, and I can't
What
even
did you feel?
explain it. It was
Was it devastation or overwhelm?
overwhelmed devastation. Yeah, it was definitely both. It was just like shock. It's shock. So you know when you like break your arm or something and you go into that shock where you're like, I can't see straight and I can't feel anything. So it was like I lost control of my legs and I lost control of my vision and my hearing. Everything just kind of like shut down.
Oh, my God.
And then like next minute I'm on the floor and I'm like literally on the ground being like fanned and offered bread or something to eat to like get me to revive. And like during all this I'm like being like, because I'd come in prepared with my spiel to like do the sales pitch of like, don't, you know, so I'm recovering while I'm trying to like sell the.
Oh my God, that is sales hard.
I know. I was just like, hustle.
Did you get sale?
They already had his stock, and
Okay.
yeah, no, but I
the best.
I was wiped out after that. I honestly, like after that I was like, I can't even go back to that shop. That was so embarrassing. Like, how do you come back from that humiliation? But honest, like, yeah, we
keep
kept
rocking up every single day.
Like out of, you know, we kept probably 90% of our customers. We lost like the bottom 10 or, you know, whatever equivalent was. You know, we lost the shit ones.
This is what, so the reason, again, why we priced our stuff a little bit high at the start, not only because we have the best ingredients and we hire Australian people on full wages as well, so it costs a lot more, but the lower, when you go for lower cost items, it attracts a totally different type of customer, especially wholesale. And so by having the higher price, you're actually working with better people who actually really believe in your product because of the quality, and it's not about price.
Yeah.
It's about the top end, the brand, the story, the quality, for yours, the taste. So
yeah. And I was able to better substantiate that over time, I guess, because I knew that, you know, since he was paying for the ingredients, he'd swapped out a lot of the honey for sugar and a lot of the fresh herbs for dried herbs. And so my whole premise was like, we are going, you know, the products are going to be better, and that, you know, we will have the quality and we will have the brand. But then obviously over the next year, I was really able to lock that down, do the rebranding and, you know, redevelop the recipes even further and source better quality ingredients. And then it just escalated from there.
So
and I don't think there was, and then, you know, a year or so later when he was still going around to the same shops doing the same trawl, it was like, try his and try ours, then make your decision. There's a reason it's like $2 cheaper.
yeah. You were still out of the home kitchen at that stage?
Yeah.
How big was your team? It's just you and the little chef? Had you graduate?
Initially. You know, and I mean, like, yeah, hiring a chef that was willing to do the dishes and help pack orders and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, small. And then, yeah, hired a kitchen hand, and then family friend came in to help do some admin work so I could go on holiday. And then, yeah, I think by the time we left, so we set up the kitchen in 2010 and we moved out in 2013.
So solid 3 years.
Yeah, solid
just
3
hustling.
years. Yeah.
And when did you feel like you were getting some traction, like in the market? Because a lot of people don't understand to build a brand is completely different to actually just moving a product or retailing an existing brand. When you're actually building your own brand, it's fucking hard because you have to live and breathe it. And
Absolutely.
in sauces, you go to the supermarket and buy your sauces. Well, I'm going to buy yours from a gourmet deli. You're like,
I know. I think my naivety was like a great advantage because I just hadn't worked in the industry. I wasn't really focused on my competitors. My focus was just like, let's just make this product the best it can be. Let's just make this brand the best it can be. So I wasn't really like worried about what other people were doing, and I didn't have any preconceived notions of like how do you grow a food business. So I approached everything with just this like real authentic and reckless abandon that just happened to really resonate with people, you know. So at the time, I think I was then 23 or 24. And all my friends, of course, we live in Brisbane. Everyone was moving to Melbourne. And I was like, oh, my God.
sucks to be them right now. Sorry to all our friends in Melbourne, though.
Oh,
I really feel for you.
Imagine if it was Queensland, though. That really gives me comfort. I'm like, the amount of shit we would cop if Queensland was in lockdown, it's just like, thank God it's them. They can handle it. They've got the arrogance. They've got the,
It's just our weather is so good. It would never happen. Diseases don't like nice weather.
Righto. Okay.
That's the scientific.
Tell that to Florida. See how that works.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
No.
Look, it's for the best that it's Victoria. But I went down there because I wanted to see all my friends, and I thought, look, if I'm going down there, I can start selling to shops while I'm there, you know, and then maybe if that goes well, I can move to Melbourne because all my friends are there. So I started selling down there, and I think it was just like going around literally like with a little esky, with a few sauces, walking into shops like, hi, my name's Jazz. This is my mum's recipes. We make them in Brisbane, using fresh ingredients. People would try them and be like, wow, these are great. Because at that point, I'd never bought a commercial pesto or mayonnaise in my life, grown up with it. I didn't even realize it was that particularly good.
Wow.
I didn't even, like I literally
That's
only
your
learned
normal.
to use an oven like 18 months prior. So I was just like, cool, this is a mayonnaise. Here you go, try it. Yeah. And people were like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, oh, if the Victorians like it,
we're on.
That's the thing, because they're real foodies.
Correct,
so, we're on. And so then the feedback was a little bit around like the branding and the look of the labels isn't quite the aesthetic.
Do you have
for retail.
a photo of what?
Oh yeah, I've got the old.
Is
stuff.
it online?
Yeah. I can pull it up on my phone.
Yeah. What did it look like? Describe it.
Well, so the labels were always black and white. And I remember when I told people I was redeveloping it, they were like, oh, good, you can finally get rid of that black and white. And I was like, no. I do markets, and people come up all the time at the markets, and they're like, I think I've had these before. And I'm like, yeah, Rose's Gourmet sauces. Like, you've probably tried them at a deli or an IGA. And they're like, no, I don't know. I just recognize the glass jar and the black and white labels.
Like,
and
yes.
it just like burned me inside, knowing that nobody even knew what the name of the product was. They just knew that it was like black and white on a glass jar. So then I was like, well, especially knowing that like my home market, we were competing directly against someone with same product now. The worst thing I could do was change away from the one thing our customers know. They don't even fucking know what they're called.
Yeah. Is this like that glass jar with the black and white.
So if I decide to be a genius and reinvent the branding, like I've literally haven't got a product or a brand anymore, because that's the one thing our customers know. So I knew I had to keep it black and white, but it was just like, it was just one of those like standard, Microsoft fonts.
Yeah.
It was literally a Microsoft
People
font.
don't understand how many big brands there are in the world that use Helvetica or whatever. It's just literally Helvetica writing, and it looks cool. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was very, very basic. And honestly, the rework wasn't sort of that different, but we really finessed it. It had a lot of class, and it's sort of kind of like yours, and that's why your brand really resonates with me. It's just got that sort of like legacy feel where it's sort of like modern, but it's also that throwback to kind of the heritage and the old fashioned, and
back
that's
in the good old days.
Yeah, like our brand values were about sort of like, mum's recipes and like that family recipes sent through the generations, and the, quality and simplicity in terms of like, it's about what's in the jar, not about like the fancy shit on the outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And because you can have great packaging and branding, but if your product is shit, people only buy it once.
Exactly.
And any good business is made from repeat customers and that lifetime customer value. So you have done all this and you've moved to your new premise away from the garage.
Yeah, and Dad in his pajamas coming down at like 5 or 6 a.m. to like abuse the staff or just like constantly turning off the light in the cold room. I'm like, we're in and out. You have to leave the light on. He's like, wasting electricity. I'm like berating my staff.
It's running a
And I was like,
lean startup.
This is humiliating. We have to move. But I started selling in Victoria. And then we did a trade show in Victoria and we got a distributor in WA. And overnight that grew our sales, by like doubled our sales.
Really?
Yeah. We got a distributor and, I think by that point we're selling maybe like 2,500 products a week. And their initial order was a pallet of 2,500 products and they were ordering that fortnightly. Wow. So I was like, holy shit. This is catching on. This could be a thing.
Yeah. When did you know? When you were like, you know what? This is actually going to work.
Yeah. When the distributor started ordering and Victoria was getting traction and I was like, I was looking to move out of home just to an equivalent space that wasn't, surrounded by my, mid-70-year-old father in his dressing gown, berating my staff in front of me and like arguing with me in front of my staff. It was very awkward. I was just looking for something equivalent but not at home.
Yep.
And then when that all happened, I was like, oh, this could be like bigger. If this works in Melbourne and in WA, then that's like the whole country. This could be a thing. So then I looked for a place and, with food manufacturing, a lot of the cost is fit out. And so renting just was really, really hard because there wasn't anything available that had like the grease traps and the commercial walling and flooring and plumbing and, the whole deal.
Yep.
So I couldn't find anything that suited it. And I found a place that was for sale in Sumner Park. And, ticked all the boxes. So luckily took security over the house, which
Thanks,
now
Dad.
I paid off the fucking mortgage. So made sense. So we took security. But yes, thank you, Daddy. Finally. We moved in March 2013 to the factory. And it was like 400 square meters. It was just from like the home garage. Huge.
How funny is it when you're moving to the first factory and you're like, whoa,
all the
I
space.
am never, ever going to outgrow this.
No, never. Never, ever will we outgrow this. And I loaded every single...
We need a bigger place.
Every single product from the cold room fit in the back of the Hilux. We had a refrigerated sort of body on the Hilux and it literally took up like a quarter of one shelf in this giant cold room. Like the cold room itself was bigger than the whole production kitchen at home. So
how good.
Yeah, but I just remember like every day it was at the top of the hill, the driveway. You go up the driveway and you see, the big building and it says Roses on it. And every day I would drive up and be like, today's the day. It's all going to go under. Close the doors for the last time. It's over. I just felt like I'd completely fucked it. Like
why?
It was just probably like 10 times the size of what we were, the building. And
could you afford the cash flow on it though?
I can't, honestly, I did a business degree, but I didn't really spreadsheet it out. I just was like, I feel like this is right. I'm sure that we can do it. I will grow the business. And then after a few months, I was like, oh, nope, I can't. I cannot pay the staff and the bills and the mortgage. This is fucked. We're definitely going out of business.
What'd you do?
I just grew more sales. I was just like, we need to sell more. Yeah. What do you do?
That is the way to do it, ladies and gentlemen.
Sales.
Yep.
Yeah, because so many people ask me, you didn't have the accounting acumen or the financial background, so how did you know what to do? And I'm like, well, I know sales. And this is the number one tip I give any entrepreneur or small business owner is like, grow your revenue. Revenue will fix basically any problem you have in your business. No matter what the problem is, grow your revenue. And look, it fucking might still be a problem, but it'll be a much smaller problem. You'll be able to deal with it as long as you've got the sales coming in.
Everyone I've ever known who has tried to cut costs during bad times has always, literally that's it. They haven't tried to grow. Where I remember there's three times in the Bearded Chap where I was like, we're fucking done. I'm done. And I picked up the phone on my account. I'm like, we're done. And he's like, no, you're not, motherfucker. Sell. And I'm like, how much do I need to sell? He's like, this much. And I jump on the phone and do 30K in 2 days. And he's like, you're a fucking psycho. How have you done this? Like, do this every day. You have great business.
Yeah.
But sales is the key.
It is.
To every business. If you don't have sales, you don't have a business.
Absolutely. And I can't impress this on enough sort of like startups and entrepreneurs even,
Don't go out and raise money. Fucking earn it.
I know.
Just sell it.
Everybody, it's not the easy way. It's fucking hard, but I think it's just been glorified. Like back when we started, VC funds weren't really a thing, like startups and incubators and all that sort of stuff. And now everyone just like glorifies this whole idea of like selling equity, and you're like, why? That's all you
most
have.
Expensive part of the
Absolutely. Just
get a loan. Get a loan.
Get a loan. Absolutely. Get a loan, or just, sell your product if you think it's great. Like, and a lot of people that start a business start it because, I guess I was really lucky because I wasn't passionate about food. I wasn't somebody that was just like my mum that like loved to be in the kitchen creating stuff.
Did you fall in love with it though?
I loved it. It became my own, but I'm just still really fortunate that it wasn't like I needed to be tucked away in the kitchen doing the work. I was like, chefs do the cooking, I do the selling. But so many other people get into business because they're a really good accountant, and then they start like forming a team around them, but they still want to do the accounting work. And it's like, or they're a really good coder, or they're, whatever their trade is or specialty, I suppose, is like how they start a business, and then they get stuck on the tools. And it's like, once you own a business, you are the salesperson. Nobody will be as passionate about your brand or your product as you will. You have to be on the front line. I know it's not nice. Cold calling fucking sucks. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. It's so, just can be demoralizing, and it takes so much guts and it takes so much energy. It's exhausting. But like no one else in your business will do that like you.
I love it as well. Like you do as well.
I hate it, and then I do it, and I win, and I'm like, yeah.
It's the first call. You're like, you literally pick up, and you're like, fuck, and it's like this gut wrenching thing. It's like having to do it, like having to clean your house or something. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then you hop off the phone, like, why the fuck didn't I do this all week?
Yeah.
It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, and because I was I really liked the whole like
this one's so good.
Yeah, I really liked. I never liked to call people. So when we were at the factory and completely running out of money, I just got on a plane and went to Sydney.
So did you have a buffer up your sleeve, like where you had like 1 week's wage, or were you like me, like if we don't get enough money in on that day, we're fucked?
I wasn't even, some people talk about like checking their bank balance at a set time every day. And like, I was just, like money in the bank, pay the bills. Money not in the bank, don't pay the bills. Like it was a very simple procedure. Mm-hmm. It was, like pay the staff and then whatever's left, pay the bills equivalent to the remainder. So yeah, but when it was like come around to pay the staff and there's nothing, then that's really your problem there.
Stressful.
You got a problem right there. So I flew to Sydney, and I remember I got on the plane at 6 a.m.
Why did you choose Sydney?
Well, because we were ticking on in Melbourne, and we had a sales rep there, and we were ticking on in WA, and we had a sales rep there.
So growing.
Distributed there.
New sales.
New market, yeah. And I had a few leads. I had a few inquiries, and I sort of felt like that is the more logical option than from Queensland start selling in Victoria and Western Australia. Like, why? New South Wales 100%. Is way closer.
East Coast. And because you guys, yours was had to have all your sources had to be refrigerated.
Yes, yeah.
So you had fresh food
chain.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was even more logistical. Like you had logistics on top of your product.
Yeah. Cold chain, bitches. It was it's the whole deal. Yeah, and I mean, gosh, when I first started sending interstate, they were just in like styrofoam boxes that we stole from out the back of fruit shops and packed with egg cartons. And like, you know, it just it was so budget, and things would get there broken every time. And I was just, again, because I was like young and naive and, you know, possibly like nice and good looking, dare I say, I would go to the markets and just like literally go up to people with refrigerated like interstate trucks and be like, hi, do you have any room in the back of your truck for like these 3 or 4 boxes going to such and such? And they'd be like, we only send full pallets. And I'd be like, oh, I've just got this sauce business. And then I'd give them a aioli or something, and then they'd literally just like then for like the next however many years be trucking our stuff interstate for like fuck all.
No
just
way.
chucking them in the back. Yeah. Whenever they had space. So
how good. Again, it's like business is people.
Absolutely.
When you start talking to someone like that and they like what you're doing and they want
to help you.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's easy to think everyone's assholes, but ultimately, like,
don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fucking tall poppy syndrome in Australia.
Absolutely.
But most people are good.
Yeah, and you know, people do business with people they like. That's one thing.
Correct.
That's,
Friends and
really
people they like.
And yeah, they just do business with people they like. And if you don't get around like, you know, fucking top shit and you know everything, people are really like usually willing to help you if you're pretty like
genuine,
nice, genuine, humble person. And, you know, it was great having a product. Like, that's the best thing about having a product business. You can be like, here, have a pesto. And then if I was like, really? Wow, thank you so much. And you're like, cool, it cost me like $3, whatever. Yeah. You know, it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
And the
experience,
the experience of like somebody getting one of your products for free it's priceless. They care so much more about you and they want to help you. So just, started trucking around the country with cold chain just by like giving out aiolis at the Rockley markets.
That's so good.
And I went to Sydney and I got a few I got 6 customers, and I went to like one that had inquired, 2 years prior, and we didn't have any chance in hell of getting stuff down to Sydney then. And I booked no appointments, and I just went in and told him the spiel.
Did you have a CRM or anything?
No.
Excel,
QuickBooks, Excel. I don't know. That was about it. It's pretty tech. Built the website myself. There was nothing fancy going on. But I went down and he said, where else are you selling in Sydney? And I was like, literally, I flew down today just to see you. I don't have anywhere else really to go. Just sussing it out, I guess. And he was like, because in the fruit shop business, they're all related. Like, his cousin owns such and such shop, and his brother-in-law owns such. So he just wrote it. He just liked me, liked the products, and literally gave me a list.
Referral is the key.
Of like 6 or 8 customers to go see and tell them, Joe from Balmain sent you. So I went to, and then I had my little hire car and I zipped around to as many as I could. I got on the flight, 6 p.m. flight that night. To
go back home,
To go home, and I had 6 customer orders.
How good.
And it was like, we're selling to Sydney. And people are like, oh, so how do you get your stock down here? I'm like, oh, yeah, we just ship down refrigerators. No worries. Like, I had no fucking idea how to get it down there. I had no logistics. I had no other customers. I literally had nothing. I hadn't pre-phoned. I just walked in,
I think Richard Branson said that. Just say yes and we'll figure out the rest.
Just say yes.
That's exactly what I've always done as well. It's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just said like, yeah, we can absolutely get that to you next week. No worries. We'll sort it out.
Getting goosebumps from this because like,
get the orders.
I fucking love this shit.
Get the orders. Get the sales. Figure it out later.
Yeah.
People spend so much time fart-assing around like in Excel and planning out. Like if I had been an accountant and tried to grow Rose's gourmet sauces, there's no fucking way I ever would have
fire everyone, cut costs.
It costs so much money. Like we lost so much money before we made the money. Like nothing would have like looked financially viable on paper.
Yeah.
But just knowing that sort of like gut instinct of like, I will make it happen is what pushes you along, forces you to make the investment, and then you get there. And then like, I was dating a guy at the time when we, just before I went to Sydney and said, I can't pay the staff. What am I going to do? He's like, you really need to study accounting. You really need to like go back and, learn this accounting stuff because you don't know the financials of the business.
Was he an
accountant?
accountant?
Run it without it. He was a lawyer.
Okay.
Ugh, snore. Boring. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to learn accounting. I can't try to know everything. I just can't. I need to like just accept what I don't know. And I think I honestly don't know what it was I read or learned at the time, but it was just really about that whole idea of like delegate your weaknesses and grow your strengths. And I was just all about like, I know my strengths are sales and marketing. I'm going to focus on that. These are the things that I can control. Like if I stopped my business to be like, I'm just going to learn accounting so I can like understand about my, like mortgaging schedule and bill payment and like budgeting, cash flow, the business definitely would have failed. But because I was just like, fuck it. I'm good at sales, need to sell more. I'll book a flight to Sydney. We'll make it happen. And then, fast forward 2016, we bought the adjoining building, put a little hole in the wall. All my staff were like, how do you know you'll be able to put a hole in the wall? I was like, I own both buildings, bitches. Like, literally, who's going to stop me?
Did you have to put a fire door in?
No. Well, both buildings already had fire doors at the back. Cool. That just put a hole 3 meter by 3 meter.
So you can fit a forklift through there.
Forky, yep. So anyway, all's well that ends well. It grew. It succeeded. We end of 2017. Start of 2017. I was like, you know what? I've given like a solid 7 years of my life to this business, and I feel like, I've spent so much time on the road. The amount of Ks I've done just driving around in a hire car, doing tastings in bloody Castlemaine and Ballarat and Bendigo, and flying to Newcastle for trade shows and going to, Perth for expos, and like the mileage I've done taking like 40 flights a year and driving around, and because I was the cheapest labor. So I was going to pay my sales staff to do regional trips. I was going to pay my Sydney sales rep to go to the Central Coast. I wasn't going to pay my my Melbourne sales manager to go to Ballarat and Bendigo. So that was me. I was the schmuck.
Did you have a lot of regional customers? Like, what was your split between the cities?
We started in the cities. It was sort of like a hub and spoke kind of model. So you'd start with the hub and then move out, and it's, I guess, more affluent in the inner city areas with more customers. And then you can kind of spread out from there. And that was also kind of like the geographical process where, like Southeast Queensland, say, was quite well established and profitable. So it was like, okay, now we can go to Melbourne, and that kind of got more established. And then we could go to Sydney, and that got well established. And then we sort of like moved to Canberra, and then we kind of went to Tassie, and then like, NT, and then Northern New South Wales, and then just filling in all the little gaps, and then SA. And
did you map these out on a physical board? Like, how do you get a picture of it? Because I know you're a real visual person. Did you like put it up on a big map and map it all out, or?
Yeah, I think at one point we got a like stockist pin system on the website, and it was really clear to see where the gaps were. Yep. But I guess because I had sales teams that were running interstate, they were really clear on, like I knew like Rocky is a regional centre, Townsville is a regional centre, and we were starting to get Cairns, and we were starting to get like, inquiries. And so it was like, oh, well, I need to go there to suss it out, and then my sales teams interstate, they knew within their states where the potential was. And also it's kind of like, my timing with the business was amazing. It was just this incredible convergence of like gourmet and the health food sector. Yeah. And this rise of like
off the back of the GFC as well.
Right off the back. Yeah. Like rebounded straight into like, Mum was making gourmet products, hollandaise and béarnaise and aioli and all this stuff. But then I started noticing at markets, everyone was asking like, are these gluten-free? Yeah. And, I can't have mayonnaise because I can't have dairy.
Because didn't you guys make like the first ever no egg mayonnaise or something?
Yeah, we were one of the first to like make it in Australia. Like people were importing it, the vegan mayonnaise. Yeah.
Yeah, vegan mayonnaise.
Yeah, and I think it's honest because I was dating a vegan in my early 20s for like 3 years, and he asked if he couldn't have our pesto because it had parmesan in it. So I was like, oh, I'll do you a dairy-free pesto. And we called it dairy-free
out.
pesto. And I was literally like, it'll never sell. That's the worst name. Like, how could you honestly call something dairy-free pesto and think it's going to be a hit? Honestly, till the day I finished with Rose's, second biggest seller. Killed it. I was like, all right, well, there you go.
Well, had some
Who
key
knew?
things in the branding there. When you ever you look, I learned whenever you look at a brand, someone should be able to look at it once and know exactly what it does.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so Rose's gourmet sauces, dairy free, pesto, everything in it.
I know. I did learn with the naming, like you have
Even
to
better chat.
you have
look
to
at that.
cater.
Big green product.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
You have to cater to the lowest common denominator. Like start from the assumption that everyone's a moron and work from there.
Yep.
Like we released a few products in the early days. I released a salsa rosa and remoulade.
No idea.
Yeah,
what
I
that
know.
is.
Yeah, that's right.
What about mystery sauce? Just a black
'Cause I
and
was
white
like-
question mark on it.
I was just sort of like, I got
Lucky
quite
dip.
deep in the gourmet, literally lucky dip.
Gourmet.
It's a dip.
Yeah.
Get it? Yeah, I kind of got deep into the
Wow.
gourmet side of things once I had got into the business and
Yeah.
knew how to make the products and really understood it all. I was like, remoulade is beautiful and it's huge in Scandinavia and most of Europe and France and Holland. Like remoulade's the thing. So we released a remoulade and then all these Aussies were like, what's a remold? And I mean,
Oh,
honestly,
man.
it's funny. It's like, I think they're the idiots, but joke's on me.
Yeah.
I'm the idiot.
No one's
like,
having remold.
no one, like, if they don't know what it is, I'm the idiot for releasing the product. So anyway, I stooped to the point of I renamed it European Tartare.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Did it sell?
Yeah.
Unreal.
I know.
Adapting to your market.
Yeah, it's the salsa rosa got changed into a char-grilled capsicum dip. Biggest selling dip immediately.
I had that, and that was delicious.
It's great, yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
How crazy just when you're in different markets, like what's in a name? Everything.
What is in a name? Everything is in a name. You know, people just need to know what it is
Yep.
and how to use it. And that's why our branding was always like very text heavy, very heavy on the instruction of like
Same with ours.
quick tips, ideas on how to use it and what is it. And, you know, because you can't be there in every shop to
No.
explain to them how to store it, how to use it, what to do, how, you know. So
Even our new product, our hair styling powder, is literally called that because it's the most searched term in Google for that
There you go.
category.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's just, I mean, now it seems like, I mean, people always thought like, wow, your marketing so amazing. Like, how did you learn this stuff? I'm like, people at markets asking me stupid questions. Like, it's literally
Well,
the most basic
I'll
way to
rephrase
learn.
that. The real market asking me real questions and being able to answer that.
Yeah.
Because they were your customers.
Yeah. I mean, people constantly told me they couldn't eat our mayonnaises because they couldn't have dairy. And I was like,
Listen to your market.
eggs don't come from cows, bro. Like,
But
what?
come
What do you mean you can't have mayonnaise? It's not made with milk. It's made with egg. And what?
It's an animal instead of a chicken.
I know. I think it's the food pyramid really fucked people up because it just put the milk next to the egg and everybody now thinks like dairy includes eggs.
Yeah.
I honestly could not even tell you the amount of times I've had to say to people like eggs don't come from cows.
Like,
But you know what? Honestly, again, joke's on me. If I wanted to be the wanker that thought I was like too smart for everyone, not successful, but because I was like, oh, okay, everybody thinks mayonnaise have dairy, just put like dairy free on the label.
amazing.
And immediately, like, I'm a marketing genius. We sold heaps of mayonnaise.
But how good? That is so awesome. Like, and this is like these little lessons are like, it does, you don't have to overcomplicate things, but you just got to
No.
fucking do it though.
And it comes
And
to
listen
talking
to your market.
Listen to your customer.
Correct.
Listen to your customer.
Yeah. Well, in my wildest dreams, I would never have ever thought that I was going to release a deodorant. And we went out to our market and went, what do you want from us next? And they ordered hair products, and we're like, yeah, that'll be later on. Eventually, we'll be all men's grooming. The biggest thing, apart from different scent, was natural aluminium-free deodorant. So we fucking did it. And it is always in our top 5 selling SKUs.
That's my deodorant currently, cinnamon spice.
There you go.
Bit of a fan.
Yes, amazing. So, yeah, like it's just if you don't listen to your market, what the fuck are you doing? It's the easiest thing to do. You already have they're already existing customers. They're telling you what they want to buy.
I know, and it's so hard because often I get the opportunity to speak at startups or like to other food entrepreneurs. And my biggest advice is like sell, 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 and listen to your customer. Like do your own sales and talk to your customers. And you can see them sort of like looking at you and nodding, but the eyes are just glazed over. And then, you know, they're just not prepared
I just paid
to
$5
do
grand
that.
to listen to this lady speak for a day.
Well, a day.
No,
Lucky
like-
to get me for like an hour.
Yeah.
Um,
A full festival, speaking festival.
yeah.
That's what they call it. What do they call those big
Incubator
cons?
type, or convention or
Big
something.
convention.
Yeah.
Conference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't really seem to be able to, you know, it's just really simple. It's so, you know, the advice, like you're saying, it's so simple, but so many entrepreneurs or, you know, wantrepreneurs, so wannabes,
It's my word right there.
hate that advice
Yeah.
because they have to work to achieve that and they don't want to. They just want it to sort of like, they just want to stay in their kitchen or, you know, stay in their office and then magically create the success overnight.
Well, like example of that, because it is the most hard thing you can ever do in your life. For me, it's the most rewarding. But down the road, we've got a small brewery. It was called Semi-Pro Brewery. And like, it's an amazing business, but it was really struggling. Like that's what I think. And I hope Mick doesn't fucking hate me for this. But he is one of the most passionate people I've ever met in his craft. And he's fucking good at it. Last week, Black Hops just fucking bought him out. And now he is doing what he loves and not having to worry about the business side. Like, I don't think he was a businessman, but he was so passionate. He took the risk. He's got that reward now. And now I went and said congratulations to him because it was like, he just looked happy and relaxed for the first time since I've known him, since we moved into this new street with our new factory. And you know what? I guarantee you he makes the best shit, the best beers ever now, because that's what he does. Like, he is just an awesome brewer. And not everyone's meant to fucking run businesses and have the stress of that.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
you know?
and now he's got a big multinational Australian, like very well-renowned, award-winning business who's recognised his talent, taken over that operational stuff, and then he's been able to concentrate. Like, he's literally words to me, he's like, I get to do what I love now and not have to worry about the rest.
Brilliant.
I was like, congratulations, man. That is the best ever. So it's going to be good. All that. So you've grown the business to the point where, how many people did you have working for you?
55 staff.
55 staff. And from in 7 years.
Yeah, by the end it was about 8 years. Yeah.
That is amazing. Across Australia?
Yep, all over the country. I had a team of 4 in Victoria and 4 in New South Wales and 2 in WA.
So it was a seriously heavy-hitting business. Then, because when did we meet?
Oof.
How did we meet?
At an awards night at the Brisbane Young Entrepreneur Awards.
That
I
is
don't
right.
think either of us won,
No, we didn't.
but we talked there.
We
sat there talking shit and getting drunk, probably ripping on everyone else for being wankers and really into it. And we're just like, we're too cool for this. Just side note, I subsequently won like
You
2
did.
years later.
You
But,
did.
I'm also the schmuck that kept entering. So
I
think it was like she's still entering. We better give her a win.
Well, no, you actually ran a great business, so
Yeah.
it was worth it. I don't think I was there for that one.
No.
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 I just lost my train of thought.
Well, yeah. So in 2017, I realized the business had taken so much from me, and my goal for that year was to take 12 weeks holiday.
That's right, yeah.
I was like, I need to make this about me. I'm stuck here. I clearly am trapped in this business. The plan was to do it for 2 years and sell it. And it's like 6 years later and I'm just a slave.
Well, a lot of people forget, or business owners forget, and this is what I think also makes the difference between a great business and one that doesn't succeed so wildly. When you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, you are a fucking slave to your team. You are there for them.
And it's 24/7.
24/7.
Doesn't ever
Yeah.
stop. Even
Yeah.
when you're on holidays, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look,
If it's the other way around, it's not going to work.
I
It's not
hit
gonna
my
work at all.
target of 12 weeks for the year. I had my holidays and I was like, okay, cool. Well, I've made this workable. I can do it for a few more years. And I engaged a business advisor to help me do like a 3-year plan. was like, we're at capacity now. Got the 2 buildings. We're completely, I can see on the horizon this time next year, fucked out of space.
Yep.
So gonna have to get a solid plan, maybe get a cash injection to get us to a new, bigger premises, take it international, get it to the next level,
and
sell it in 3 years. That's the plan.
When
so
you were growing, did you guys take on debt to grow? Or did you just organic growth through cash and sales?
it was organic growth, but we were operating out of an overdraft,
Okay.
and like my equipment, I took on some equipment finance.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Which is smart. It's all investment into operational and improving the economies of scale.
Yeah, and I mean our mortgages, because I bought both buildings, we were paying interest only, so it's just like minimizing where we could what the outgoings were. But the idea of having the mortgages and then buying a new, which we owed 100%, and then buying a new premises, which would have been presumably like 2 or 3 times the size, so multi-million dollar facility, and then the cost of, you know, running both.
Yeah.
And
Would you have
the
sold
cost of
and
moving would have been just, so I was like, what are we going to do? And the idea of like tapering down the growth to stay where we were was
Not an
like,
option.
that's not an option for me. I was just addicted to, I don't know, like the challenge, I think, honestly. It started being about, I want to sell $1 million worth, and then I want to sell $2 million worth. And then it was just like, how many millions is enough? And it was not so much about the dollars, it was more about the success and the feeling like I was growing and the challenge of like progressing and getting the next.
Because when you get to $1
win.
million, like, cool, that's what's next.
Yeah, there's not a
yeah.
lot, honestly. 2, 3, 4. It's not very inspiring.
No. I did that, and whenever I've done that twice. Whenever I did that, we would be in trouble when we were going for chasing dollars. So it is always our goal to move, to get new customers, because when you get new customers, you grow. You're also onboarding them for the right reasons, not just to make a buck, because you want to have good customers and you want to be able to grow that relationship, and it's lifetime customer value. And as a result of treating your customers good and providing them with good service and good product, your business will grow and you will hit those marks, which is amazing that you can celebrate. But I had done both, and the 2 times I had chased that money, fucked up, like really bad. That was those bad times.
Can totally relate. It doesn't, juice you enough to get the results. So following that challenge idea, but I could see that funding it was going to be really impossible. So I decided to get someone on to help me plan it out. How are we going to fund it? And I felt like I was like, this is getting a bit beyond me. I'm sort of getting to the point where I need middle management, because I had like 12 direct managers reporting to me, each of my state managers and then my marketing manager and my ops manager. And I was just constantly like in front of my email, on the phone. I wasn't doing any of the things that I love doing, like the sales calls and the expos. And, it's just
You were
like,
stressed as well. I remember seeing you. It
Oh,
took a
and I
toll on
was-
your body.
Oh, yeah. I was a wreck, really. Even though I'd like tried to have my holidays and everything, it didn't really compensate, because it's 24/7, so you just sort of like,
I hear you.
running out of energy. So when I started planning the 3-year exit, it was literally end of 2017, and we got approached in that month by like 2 private equity firms to invest and 2 other firms to buy. And I was like, well, this is weird.
Put it out in the universe, do the work, and it
Yeah.
happens.
And so I was lucky because I'd already engaged someone to help me with the business plan. So he sort of started like liaising with all these people, and it was sort of a work in progress in the background. And then, basically the most interested party, I sort of said, look, it's not for sale. Maybe you could invest. And then a few years down the track, I'll sell it to you. But like if I sold it to you now, I just wouldn't be getting the value for what I've worked so hard for and what I see on the horizon can achieve.
That would have been like, fuck, I want that business.
I think that's
You always
really,
want you always want what you can't have.
I think my naivety just really, because I didn't realize like the opportunity that I was being presented with, and
Cashing out.
Yeah.
Like you're literally cashing out off the table and getting your hard reward for the last 7 years in one go.
And it's Sunrise. They're a $1 billion company, and they're like, hello, how much do you want? And I was like, oh no, I'm not for sale.
Soz, busy selling.
Yeah, too busy to talk, can't talk, come back later. But then I spoke to a few entrepreneurs and they were like, do not do an earn out. Do not do a sell down. It's, it's horrifying.
Do you want to explain an earn out and a sell down? Because a lot of people don't know this.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
This is what so everyone who saw Ryan Reynolds post going, fuck off, blah, 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 when he went to sell aviation gin. And then he came back, went, I really apologize to everyone. I'm no George Clooney. So George Clooney got bought out for $1 billion for his tequila company.
What?
Done deal. No other commitments. Ryan Reynolds, I think it was 640. How much was it?
640, I think.
$640 million and 365 10-year earnout as creative director. He's creative director. Like, he's already the most hilarious dude in the entire world. He doesn't have to work. And I think he bought it for like $2 million.
No one's going to argue with that anyway.
No. But he was just like, I'm a chump because I thought I had it that easy. I'm no George Clooney. So, but yeah, an earnout is?
It's basically where you have an agreed valuation for the business, which is usually a multiple of your earnings. And then that's calculated instead of a percentage of like 100% of the business. So, like say it'll be a 5 times multiple on your earnings. You might be doing it over 5 years, but each year might be 20%. So it's like 20% of your earnings at a 5 times, and that's what you get. But then presumably, for example, on the 5-year horizon, after, 3 years, you don't own a majority of your business. So the multiple of profit that it's been calculated on, you don't actually have control over how the business is being run in order to like generate that profit. So you may find that then in the last 2-3 years, you're not getting the profit figure that's where you could have had it at if you were growing the business yourself to get that multiple.
Well, they're minimizing the profit.
Yeah, they could minimize the profit and you're still getting the multiple, but like, maybe if you were doing it, your profit might have been 500K and you're getting a 5 times multiple of that.
2,000.
But,
$2,000 profit this year, mate.
It's like a 20K profit or something, and you're getting, so 20K and you're getting 20% of that and 5 times that. So
and you're still working the business day to day as well.
And you've got, people to report to. You've all of a sudden corporate.
Yeah. You're becoming an employee of your own business.
You're absolutely an employee, yeah.
What was the other one
and
you
I
said?
know a couple of people that have taken on investors even, sold 51% of their business. They're an employee and they get fired. It's as soon as you do not have a majority, that's it. You do not have a say. It doesn't matter whether you own 51 or
Depends on
89.
how active the shareholders are as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, you've still got the capacity to lose
Absolutely.
your business, like lose the stake, lose your job. So the idea of selling down was just like increasingly unappealing because it meant that everything had to go right. And I was like literally potentially getting into bed with this acquiring company for 5 years and I don't even know them. I don't really how can you trust what they're going to do and how they're going to support you and if you're going to enjoy it. And then all of a sudden I was like, 5 years is a really long time. I don't think I've even got that in me. So
just
all
from
of a
the
sudden,
physical and mental toll on it, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I sort of thought there's so much opportunity. I can do so much. And then when I started thinking about how I would do that, I was like, oh, no, that's fucking a lot of work. I'm pooped.
Yeah.
I might just give up now.
And so ultimate ending is you got bought out.
Yep. So we spent quite a few months, mostly due to my nonchalantness, negotiating a price and eventually settled with a price that I was really happy with. It was 12 times multiple on my net profit, which is quite unheard of.
Amazing.
And
means you ran a good fucking business.
Yeah, I think it was that what they were really buying was the brand. I really spent a lot of time on the branding, and obviously it was an excellent product, but also the distribution network. We owned all our customers.
Yeah.
Like I said, we got a distributor in WA in the early days, but then we pulled it off them because I found like some customers would only have 3 products.
Instead of
And they weren't even our biggest selling products. So, you know, for us, it was all about the range. And we realized, you know, we could get 5, 8, 10 times the sales by managing the customer relationship ourselves.
Yep.
So putting in sales managers, growing it sort of like region by region. We had so much value in just having cold chain, national logistics, owning over.
So you own your cold chain as well?
We used contractors and
local
suppliers. Yeah, we did our own local stuff, but I think it was also just for a big company. They didn't know how to distribute to like, you know, how do you get stock from Brisbane to Cairns and, you know, to these little fruit shops and places in, you know, Roslyn Bay. How do you get, you know, people just, I don't know. For me, it was just ask the question and ask and ask and ask until somebody wants to help you.
Yep.
But bigger businesses, they don't have the time and resources to sort of allocate to that like lower level stuff. So the fact that we had direct logistics to, you know, over 800 independent outlets, cold chain.
So you had a full fleet of trucks as well?
Locally, we did our own deliveries in our truck.
Yes.
But then everything was sort of consolidated. So we'd consolidate pallet shipments.
Okay.
And again, like the hub and spoke model.
Yep.
So we'd send twice a week into Melbourne or like 3 times a week into Sydney, consolidate it, and then our courier that we hired, they were a contractor that worked for us at the other end, would pick up all our stock and deliver it into all the stores. And yeah, and we did that for sort of like every region.
Did you find because you controlled that sales channel direct with the customers, because I believe in that as well, did you find it more effective to be on phones out of a central office, or actually people in the region going to shops, seeing it?
Our sales team was integral, yeah. And I think with food too, it's all about the taste.
Yes.
So doing the trade shows and the in-store tastings, and again, people do business with people they like. So yes, I did a lot of the like core customer seeding in each region, but then having the sales team there to support that and visit the customers and check on the stock. And, you know, especially too with refrigerated products, we've got shelf life. So the dips was maybe like, you know, 4 or 5 weeks, and then the sauces 4 or 5 months. So checking the rotation, presentation, making sure everything was sort of like coordinated with the store, with the presentation, the positioning, like that was pretty valuable because the retail presence is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's one thing that I always am conflicted, because phone sales is highly productive. But there's nothing like being in store and touching your phone. That's why literally I fly to every one of our retailers and give them a one-on-one training for all their team, because when you're in the presence of someone and you have the energy and going through something, there's nothing like touch, feel, look, see, you know?
Yeah, and I guess it's just striking that balance of like, you know, getting the customer with that face-to-face experience. A lot of the reorder stuff, like, yeah, you don't need to physically be there. But for them to stay loyal to you, you need to like retain that bond.
Yeah.
And by going in there with some degree of regularity, whether like for each business it's different, whether it's like monthly or, you know, half yearly.
How did you work it? Were you quarterly, monthly, yearly?
It depended on the spend of the customer.
Yeah.
So some customers were weekly.
Yeah.
Some customers were yearly. You know, and their location. So like how close they were to the sales rep, what their spend was. I mean, a lot of the regional customers were amazing because they spent quite a lot and they did not expect to see you at all. Just the fact that
when they do see you, they're like, you're a fucking rock star. Yeah. They remember it for so long.
I love doing the regional trips because you get so much bang for your buck because they just like really appreciate it. Whereas, you know, after a while I'd go down and see my Melbourne customers and they're like, oh yeah, hey. You know,
busy.
I'm like, I literally flew from Brisbane to come visit you, but okay.
So exited out.
Yeah.
You are retired at how old?
31.
What the fuck did you do then? Because
So I only had to stay on for 6 months. I did my 6-month handover.
But one thing you did. So, sorry, go ahead. You did a 6 months handover. Yep. And then that was done. And you're like, see ya, bye.
Bye.
Here you go. Bye. Because since I've known you, and just from your whole story, it's actually put a much better understanding of how hard of a worker you are and your work ethic. What did you do after that? Because that's just like complete stop.
It was a hard stop, yeah. So I finished in March 2019. Was my end of work. Kind of like I did my 6-month employment.
First career.
Yeah.
Become unemployed.
Became unemployed. And
can you actually apply for the dole?
I didn't even think of that, honestly. No, I don't think I could. I don't think I could because I owned the property for the commercial factories in a separate entity. And so and I obviously had all this cash, so I just offset my loans and took all the rent from Rose's, now my tenant, my previous business, now my tenant, as my income. So yeah, I don't think I would have qualified.
Yeah,
but
that's all right. You're ethical.
I'm sure it crossed my mind. Don't worry, I've paid my taxes enough to want to get something back.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, honestly, my body just pretty much gave up and was like, yeah,
like perfect timing, hey?
Yeah,
because you were pretty on edge by the time.
Look, I mean, over the years, the quick summary is I had chronic migraines, I had stomach ulcers, I had sciatica, I had chronic sinusitis and laryngitis, I had TMJ, which is like a jaw dislocation issue as well, and then I had a bulging disc at the base of my spine, and
what happened? Why?
And then
so like, stress or what?
Well, presumably, yeah, because I was like, what is wrong with me? I keep treating
you're super
all these
fit
things.
and then healthy now.
Yeah, well, I always was, the whole way. I was eating well and Bikram yoga and, like sleeping 8 hours a night. I was always being the best I could be.
Unheard of.
That's a dream.
Even as an entrepreneur, no, I was doing all that stuff.
I know.
I knew that I needed to look after myself. But I'd look after myself and I'd still just be falling apart. And that was the thing. I was like, what is it that's causing this problem? Because I am doing everything right. And it was really demoralizing and upsetting for me, the fact that it was like, what more can I possibly do? I see all the specialists. I, eat all the right food. I exercise and I'm still, all of a sudden having chronic laryngitis. So I was losing my voice all the time. Yeah. Everyone was like, oh, your voice is so sexy. It's really husky. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm just really sick.
Yeah.
It was so not cool. And I was doing a trade show, 4 days every month, nonstop talking, and
it's hard on your body.
Yeah. And I think, and obviously, anyway, the only correlating factor with all of these issues is stress. So it was definitely stress, grinding my teeth, poor immunity. And then after I sold, I was diagnosed with hyperthyroid, chronic inflammation and chronic fatigue, osteoporosis. There's a list.
Oh my Lord, I didn't even know this.
Yes, I know. It was
sicko.
Quite upsetting.
So
unsurprising though. It was like
you started looking after yourself then. Last little bit.
Yeah. And by looking after myself, it was like...
Well, you were always looking after yourself. It was just no stress.
Yeah.
So how long before you started feeling like yourself?
Oh my gosh, it took ages because I think having my dad that was such a narcissist and a perfectionist, and having bottled everything up for so long, one of the really big challenges with running the business was just talking about my mum every day.
Yeah,
it was every day. Who's Rosa? My mum, it's named after her. She started it when I was 4. Oh, and where is she now? She's dead. It was just
you better buy this stuff now.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, I had to use every tool I had in my kit. I'm not gonna lie, but it was hard because it was I could never really let go. So in one sense, selling the business was okay, I need to, de-stress and look after my body and rebuild my energy. And then the other side was also just this emotional release of I can just finally let it go.
From the stories you have told, you never actually mourned. It was just done, get into it, forget about it. Like you said, you pushed it back. And
I'd be at trade shows and people would be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And I would have to hold back tears because it was as soon as I talked about it, it was I can't handle this. I cannot speak about it. I need to completely compress everything, pretend I'm okay, push it down, take the tears out of my eyes, keep talking about the pesto, pumps and cheese, and it's made with walnuts instead of,
Swallow that.
just swallow it and swallow it and swallow it. And so it was just, it was really a big release on so many levels, like the stress stuff, but also that just like emotional. And I knew that also, like, because Mum had been doing it since I was 4, like it's been such a big part of my life. How do I, like, detach my identity? Like, who even am I? It's just become, I am Roses. I am like Rosa also. Everyone would call me Rosa. I'd go out to stuff and everybody would be like, Rosa. And I'd be like, yes. I would respond when people called me Rosa. So it was just like, who even am I?
Wow.
Is this me now? I don't even know. What do I want to do? Who am I? How do I get on with my life? So it was really confronting. It was hard.
What did you do?
And I bullied myself a lot because I was like, how dare you be upset and moping when you have so much that, like, you've won all these business awards, you've got all this money, you have no debt, you have the dream life. Like, what more could you want? You've achieved so much. You've, risen to all these challenges. You've traveled the world. You've done everything you wanted to do. And you're only 30 and you've got so much time ahead of you.
Fucking ridiculous.
Like, it's ridiculous. And you're sitting around just feeling sorry for yourself. Like, fuck you.
Are these all internal dialogues that you're running in your head?
Of course, because I'm that person that's just like picking on myself and bullying myself because, like, how dare you not be happy? Look at, like, you have so much that other people would want. Like, so many people don't have anywhere near this. And you're sitting here feeling sorry for yourself. How dare you? Like, go out and do something. And then it would just sort of spiral into, like, anxiety and.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was really hard.
How long
to not
did this
be an
happen
achiever, like to not be achieving.
Yeah, because it's almost like the same thing when I had Nathan Sharp and Mark Bartholomew's ex-Wallabies players on Monday. And it was one of those interesting transitions because you are always achieving, you always got these goals and you're going out and you're working as a team and you're crushing it. And then you just stop and it's your life.
Yeah.
And then what do you got to do? And it was interesting hearing their transitions out of it. And, like, there's always stories of, like, athletes finishing and then just crumbling.
It's the same as, like, the military, like the army and the veterans, they come back and it's just like, and business is like a war.
It is fucking war.
It's like a war.
It definitely is a war.
You come out of it and you seriously have PTSD. It's definitely a thing. And not being a part of that is harrowing. And there's no real, like, veterans club for, like, retired entrepreneurs.
Well, they say that actually because they've recently been doing studies and there's a real high spike with allegedly, there was a really high spike in, like, entrepreneur suicides and, like, mental health and depression. It's horrible because I know from my own sake, I don't look after myself. I flog my body. I don't sleep. Since March, since COVID, we've just been very fortunate to be flat out. No exercise. I think I put on like 15 kilos. Like, just my body is amazing because I'm not dead. I'm very lucky.
But it's kind of like when you stop, it'll just collapse also.
Yeah.
So you
but
just
I hate stopping.
Stay on the wheel, hamster. Stay on the wheel.
I hate stopping. So you had this time off, and so what period did it take you to, like, move through these learnings on yourself, and, like, what did you have to do to push through it? Because, again, it's a whole nother hard thing. You deal with staff, you deal with all this other stuff, and then now you have to go through your own demons in regards to, I'm not performing, but you fucking just performed for 7 to 8 years, you know?
It was very confronting. Well, I went to Europe for 2 months, as you do, and schlepped around. I bought a place in Byron, as you do, spent a bit of time down there. And I guess
with Hemsworth and
of course,
mate.
Yeah, all my mates. And I went back to uni because I was really fortunate the acting course that I'd studied years ago, and I always felt like, did I sacrifice my acting dreams for this business? Would I still want to do acting? Like, did I sacrifice everything that I wanted to do that was me for the business? So I re-enrolled and I could do a bridging course to finish my, like what I'd done in an advanced diploma. I could upgrade to a degree. And I thought, great, my mind is going to mush and I have like no creative outlet and I need something to give me a routine because I'm literally just like sleeping and putzing around all day, every day. So I went back to uni and started in September and finished with my degree in April, end of April. So I was because and again I'm like that's
Type
my
A.
idea. That's literally my idea of doing nothing is like going and finishing a degree. And I started studying French as well. And so, but at the same time, it was
You almost
very
put
like,
those original. Now it makes sense. You almost put those original plans because you want to go to. Didn't you say you wanted to go to France?
Yeah, absolutely.
And do acting.
Yeah, and I
So
was
she learnt French.
I was all about
French.
no regrets.
Yeah,
No
good.
regrets. And I just was like,
So-
I don't want to regret, like never. And actually this year my plan was to move to France to do like immersion to learn French.
Yep.
And then COVID happened. So I moved down to Byron for a couple of months and just like putzed around there with the pugs. I'm very fortunate. I've got 2 baby girls. They're pugs. They snort and snuffle and fart and sneeze and
Jazz is absolutely
and
obsessed
puff.
with pugs.
but I love my babies. So I just, I got to really spend a lot of time with them and
Did you
chill
do?
out.
Did you do reading? Because I know you like yoga and stuff. Did you do
Yeah.
much reading and or?
yeah, I went to Bali in January for a month and just
Did you?
full on all the yoga stuff, detox and on my own.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, Bali's
Always
it's
wanted to
it's
do
what you
that.
make it. You know,
Yeah,
I just
okay.
stayed in a really nice villa and I'd go out to dinner on my own
Yep.
with a book.
See,
You
a
know,
lot of
I
people don't
just
feel
sit there.
comfortable doing shit on their own.
Well, I had to get comfortable with it, and that's why this year was a really big challenge.
It's finding yourself.
It was definitely not easy. And yeah, a lot of those anxieties and things I had, I just had to learn how to get over it.
How good.
So it was, it's definitely personal growth. And I know a few entrepreneurs, and that whole, like what I said, like that PTSD and not having a club, I knew a few entrepreneurs that had sold, and honestly, just hanging out with them, just having a few drinks and talking about the times, the life and the times of, the sale and the stuff and the exit and the retirement, and having that was amazing.
Yeah.
Really invaluable. Just people that could relate to what you'd been through and have some like D&Ms and feel like you were understood and you didn't have to be going through all this alone. So yeah, finding them this year was really amazing and built up my confidence. And then I decided it was time to start looking for the next venture.
Yeah, of course you did. So, and you've only just got into this one as well.
Yeah. I think it's like literally 3 weeks ago we signed.
I couldn't believe it when you told me.
Fresh.
I remember I called you. I was in Hamilton Island. I was just having a chat with you, and you're like, "Yeah, by the way, I'm going to buy a new business." And I was like, "What?"
I know, because I mean, look, it was like really uncomfortable at the start, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to be retired for long. This is horrible. I'm definitely going to go back to work." And then after a year, I was like, "I'm never working again. Fuck y'all." Pleb life is not for me. I am perfectly happy, with my, 11 o'clock yoga class and my 2 hours at the dog park in the afternoon. And
Did it get boring though?
No, I honestly can say hand on heart, I was not bored. I started playing Age of Empires again.
Video games, yeah.
Yeah,
I went
gamer.
back to the games.
We'll get into what games you like in a minute.
I started like day drinking for a while, and then I was like, you know what? I don't have the constitution to be an alcoholic. It's a great hobby. Like, don't get me wrong. Great for socializing.
Day drinking is amazing.
It's amazing. And it's also like
It's just that not many people
every
can do it
day,
on a.
literally every day, you're like, oh, got nothing on tomorrow? Have another bottle. Like, have another drink. There's like no boundaries. And it's hard.
There's only
When-
a certain
when you
amount of
have-
friends you can do that with who are good, and everyone else is you're in a bad company.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, probably. Like, look, it did get to the point where I was like, all right, need to turn it back a little bit. And I felt gaming was a more suitable hobby for my health. Just putzing. So when I was in Byron during COVID, I was just like
Lockdown gamer.
walk on the beach and then like 12 hours on the computer, just, building an empire, going to war,
Did you? So you still
Feeding the
going
AI.
to war? Did you get a ridiculous computer setup?
Oh yeah, yep. $4,000 on a gaming setup. Why not? It's good.
Absolutely.
And then like
Did you
to
have the
play
ridiculous
something like the
chairs?
South Park game, you know, which is like zero graphics. I love South Park, so that
Yes.
was like my
Excellent.
Is that a fractured butthole?
fractured butthole. Not as good as the Stick of Truth. The Stick of Truth was excellent, but then people were like, "What are you playing?" And I'm like, "Fractured butthole."
I don't
And
even
they're
know
like, what do
this
you
is.
mean?
Oh, really?
No.
Well, it's like
up.
butthole,
Yes.
but it sounds like butthole,
Yes.
Fractured, so like in pieces, but also as a whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
but also a butthole.
Yeah. So,
Chocolate
see
It's
man
very
and
South
swallow.
Park.
Chocolate stuff.
Yeah.
So
very childish.
yes.
I love South Park.
Anyway, so I went through all that, and then I was like, you know what? I am bored. I do need to do something, and if I'm gonna do something, I want it to be about dogs because that is literally the only thing I care about.
Yes. You love your little
Doglets.
puglets.
Babies.
That is
That's
what she
what I
said.
Babies. They're babies.
I always laugh. The puglets. So I'm actually very surprised you didn't start something from scratch again. What made you want to go into buying or going to an existing business? Because
Honestly, dude, like we've been there pretty much starting from scratch. It's not a
Okay.
good time. Like, just I was like, I don't have to do that now. I
Yeah.
have the money. Like,
Yep.
why would I start from nothing?
for the fun,
Like, nope, nope.
That's
is
what I
not
seem to
the
do.
fun part. Yeah, look, it's honestly different once you've really retired. It's
Yeah.
just the idea of going back to that grind from nothing. That is the hardest part. Those first 3 years, that first meal, like that is horrible. That is the
I
grind.
fucking love it though. I really do.
Mm.
It's like a scorned woman.
You haven't
I
retired
know,
yet,
it's
though.
like-
So
No,
Yeah,
I know.
like, you haven't-
I won't ever
like,
retire. I
well,
always say
look,
that. I'm like,
like-
I will never retire.
Okay, well, you know.
I might have 6
We'll
months off
talk.
if I am that lucky. But I just love it. I love everything about everything.
Okay.
Just
Alright.
love the hustle.
We'll
love
see.
it.
We'll see how you go.
We will.
Give it a few years.
We shall see. We shall see.
So yeah, I was just like, I want to buy something, and I also thought like there might be a few like Corona specials
Yep.
on the market.
Absolutely.
So I
Again, your
was-
timing is perfect. Like you cashed out before all this happened magically
I know.
a
Well,
year.
I mean, look, to be fair, we pretty much would have been consistently selling through this anyway, but it would have been difficult, unpleasant. You know, food retail was the only industry that was literally kicking it through all this.
And beard products.
Grooming. Yeah.
Grooming. Everyone's at home buying, growing beards.
Yeah.
We were very lucky.
Yep. Yeah, true. So, I started looking around and I made a few unsolicited inquiries and nobody ever gets back to you. I was,
What do you mean unsolicited? And how are you finding these businesses?
just
Gumtree or
random
something?
No, well, so, you can look online like anybusiness.com.au or Seek or, but even like, I do scuba diving.
Okay.
And there's a brand that I buy for like wetsuits and like thermal sort of diving gear, and they're made in Australia. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'd love to do something like that. Just give them a call, shoot them an email, see if they're interested. And there was a few businesses like that I just really liked. And, basically nobody ever gets back to you because if you've got a good business and some like random emails you being like, hi, would you like to maybe like sell your business to me?
Yeah.
People are like,
No,
I
I don't need a
ignoring
fake
you.
account in Africa. the king.
Maybe when
India.
I said
Yeah.
I was a retired queen,
Yeah.
like, I was looking for business for sale and I was looking around and, it just happened to come across one called the Dog Mum. And it was run by this chick called Emma. And I loved the brand persona and I loved the name. And I was just like, I have to,
But you are a dog mum, hard. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And we started chatting and she was like, can we go for a coffee? Like, I feel like we would have heaps in common and I'd love to pick your brain on some,
I hate that word. I hate pick your brain.
pick your brain. Well,
You gotta add value.
I think she was,
I always tell people, don't pick my brain. Chat me for coffee and
Yeah,
add
and
some
look, I
value,
was
'cause
doing a
I'll
lot of
spend
like
time with you.
mentoring and
Yeah, yeah.
speaking and other food businesses, and I was just excited to talk to somebody in like a pet space because that's where I was looking, and so
Yeah.
I was like, yes. And honestly, it was like we met and just immediately clicked. It was I very rarely, especially females, I tend to get along more immediately with males than females, but she is smart cookie. She's hardworking. She has done so much with her business. It's admirable, amazing. It's branding, it's positioning. She's fucking nailed it. I loved it. And they're actually an apparel brand. So it's the dog mum, but it's literally clothes for the mum
Yes.
of the dog.
That's
And
what I got
that's
tricked
the-
up on.
yeah.
I was like, yeah,
Everyone's like,
dog clothes.
Dog
yeah.
clothes. I don't like
good
clothes,
stuff.
but for no, the person.
Probably would sell though.
Yeah.
And honest, it was like we just like met, fell in love, and got married. It just happened so quick. It was like a shotgun wedding. Seriously, it happened all in the space of like 6 weeks. And so yeah, so she was like, "Come on as a partner. I'm at the point of like I need to take my business to the next level. Don't want to do it alone. We get on so well." This is, and I was looking in that space. So it just was like, oh, the universe is aligned. I've literally been sitting around for 18 months not knowing what I wanted to do. And it's just fallen in my lap and it's perfect. And it's like we finish each other's sentences. It's like, she's the one, man. She's the one. It's
Wow.
really cute.
It's very
I
rare.
mean, she's married,
Yeah,
minor
yeah, yeah,
detail.
yeah,
but
yeah.
like, she loves me. It's
Yeah.
fine.
It's very, very rare you find good business partners.
I know.
So out of everyone, like I've had business partners
I know.
in the
And
past and
I've-
it didn't work
I've
out.
talked to so many friends in business and they've had business partners that hasn't worked out. And
I have
after lone wolfing-
three very good friends, and they've all had the most incredible business partners. They're the luckiest motherfuckers I've ever known. Like
I know
brilliant humans, and they're just all matched up.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's so rare.
Yeah,
And, coming from like a lone wolf background like yourself,
Yeah.
you sort of get a little bit of a chip on your shoulder about partnerships. And you're like, I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm doing it my way. And this is it, my way or the highway kind of deal. But honestly,
it's
and
nice to
I kind
burden
of
the
feel
load, though.
I kind of feel bad telling you this, Luke, because I know you're the Lone Ranger right now, but it is the best. It
When
is
you have the
honestly
right one.
Today at work, I was like, I actually have to pinch myself because this is amazing. Like, we've got each other's back, and like everything that I'm not good at or don't want to do,
Opposite.
she's a gun.
Yeah.
And like all the shit that she's like can't take on and doesn't want to do or not interested in, I'm all over that.
And that is every single time I've heard successful partnerships or business partners, that is what the success is. Like you all have unique skill sets that balance off each other. You're all accountable and responsible, and you all take action. And so, and great communication.
Yeah.
They're all things. So, and when like my experiences and when I had phase in that space, those things didn't align and matched up. Well, when you find the real story out, you're like, eh. So I've enjoyed it being on my own adventure because I think fucking crazy, wildly big. But I am so happy that that's the partnership you got in this one, because again, it's so rare. And again, I've got 3 mates, and they've got very, very successful
And it's
international
not like
companies.
she was a friend of mine.
No.
She came out of nowhere. So I was completely prepared to write her off, and just such a good match.
How good.
Like, I'm just
So
not
what's Dog Mum about, and what's it going to be?
So we're ethically made apparel for the sassy dog mum and dog dad. But so it's, people are really passionate about their dogs. I am,
Yeah.
you know,
Got my little Hugo Boss cat.
of course, yeah. So we
Instagram
also,
at the Hugo
look,
Boss.
honestly, we also own the cat mum. It's a bit of a side business. We're waiting for a cat mum in the business to really like take it to the next level.
Yeah.
I am not that person, but like maybe at one point we will. But breed specific illustrations on shirts, just everything like dog puns. I love my shirt that says wears black, loves dogs, avoids people, because that's like I wear that and I'm like, this is everything you need to know about me.
So good.
Yeah. And, you know, I literally identify with myself as a pug mum. That is like part of who I am. And, you know, there's so many other people that are also like, I am an Airedale Terrier mum. I am a Staffy dad. You know, it's
Wow.
just so this is a whole other side of people's identity that you can like relate to. And the brand just has so much potential because we're looking at obviously not just things for the dog mum and dad, but also then we've got the brand extension into dog accessories.
Yes.
Everything for the dog mum, everything for the dog. Category expansion is wild. I'm really working on the product development pipeline, and Emma is just like a marketing gun. She's going to be a
Amazing.
doctor in marketing like this year. She's doing a PhD.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That is amazing.
I know.
How good.
All like, you know, she was like breastfeeding her child. She's got a 2-year-old. She's like breastfeeding,
It's
vinyl
like, please
cutting,
don't say dog.
pressing.
That's a real dog mum.
Actual children pressing vinyl, you know, in the garage in the middle of winter at 2 a.m.
Hustler.
Like, you know, she's a hustler.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that are like wannabes or start small businesses. And
Entrepreneurs,
it's just
once
like, yeah, I would never go into business with them. But she's like, she's gone through the hard yards. So it's almost like that tick, you know, you've been through the horror stage and you're smart and you're driven. So like, let's take this to the next level and everything. It was really funny because when we sat down across from each other, she was like, so what are your like skill sets? What do you really enjoy doing? And like, what are you good at in business? And I was like, probably like nothing. Like,
Good pitch.
I know.
I'm a good
Little did I
salesperson.
know. Like, little did I know.
It's
she
the
was
only time
gonna-
you needed to sell if you wanted to get in.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, probably nothing.
Little did I know she was going to offer me to like buy into half her business. And she was like, so what are you good at? I'm like, not anything. But it was also just like that whole, I'm good at running a business. I'm not good at any one thing. You know, I just make shit happen. I get sales. I
Getting it done.
do operations. I do marketing. I do hiring. I don't think I do any one of those things like particularly well. Like, do not hire me as your accountant. Do not hire me as your HR manager. I'm like definitely not going to be your marketing manager. But like in terms of pulling it all together, getting things to grow, that's my jam.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm good at nothing. But sure, give me half your business. Yeah, so now anyway, I bought in and it's great because like I've realized ops is my strength. Just like, yeah, pulling it all together, background, sourcing and all the boring stuff. And she's great at like customer and digital, social marketing, all that stuff. We don't get in each other's way, but we finish each other's sentences.
Amazing.
So it's like, yeah, I'm really happy.
I'm super excited to see this next chapter in your, this is 2.0
Yeah.
of the second half of the business career for you because you
Mhm.
already retired once. So how long have we been on, Hayden? We might wrap this up. It's 2.5 hours.
2.25, yeah.
2.25 hours. See,
Mm.
I told you. This is like a little magic room. It just like disappears and just time just flies. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully everyone got some bit of value out of it. And I would love to have you back on in like 6 months' time. And we'll hear how Dog Mum's coming. How can people find you if they want to follow you on Insta or Twitter or whatever you want to?
See, I'm the back of house kind of secret squirrel. You
That's
should
all
follow the Dog Mum,
Yeah. What is it?
The
At
dog.
the Dog Mum.
MUM. Yeah.
Have you got MOM for America?
Don't.
We won't
it's
release this
taken.
tonight.
It's trademarked.
Oh, is it
Fuckers.
really?
Yes. Look, you know what? We're going to grow it for 4 years and then sell it. So
To them.
we don't need to. Yeah. Oh, well, they're nothing, but you know.
They don't have dogs in America.
Look, we'll get our 10 million from just the Australian market. We don't need much more than that.
Good.
It's fine.
Well, we'll get you back on and we want to hear an update of how you've been going. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Been good.
Follow the Dog Mum.
That's it.